Hello and good evening.
We got the ominous music in the background for this episode. We were talking about something special today.
That's true.
We're going into the most controversial and divisive book in all of World Darkness.
We're talking
we got
about
the Radiant.
Go ahead.
We got the Radiant Silvergun music playing in the background.
We're talking about the funny gay demons from everybody's favorite independent animation, Has Been Hotel.
And Hell of a Boss, don't forget about that. It's even gayer.
It's true.
I didn't like either.
Thank you. Yes.
We're off to a
It's
great
a great
start.
All right, so I do like this track though because it's interesting just like how simple the composition is, and yet it really gets the point across. This is final boss music, by the way, Kyle.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is against. I told you about Radiant Silvergun. It's a game where God hates you and wants you to die.
And it's a bullet hell Galaga game.
And
From Japan.
And
That-
it's well, why not play this song because the theme of Demon of Fallen is that God hates you and wants you to die. But it's that God isn't around to do his punishment anymore. So here we are. I have tried my best to wrap my head around how I'm supposed to run a demon game and how it's supposed to work with the World of Darkness. And there were a lot of snags and a lot of snares where if you look at the TV tropes page for Demon of Fallen, if you look at like people talk a place of facts and logic, the World of Darkness subreddits, or you go, or the verification where the traditional games board on 4chan talks about this game. Nobody seems to know whether or not Demon is a flawed masterpiece where we had a good idea going here, but they just didn't have the time to really make this game what it was supposed to be, or if this was a terrible game from inception and should never been put to print to begin with. Those are the two different ideas we got for this game.
Or it's just really deep lore.
And granted, the core rulebook, that book is rough. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it, but the game found footing for itself with Houses of the Fallen and the Player's Guide and the Storyteller's Companion. But I would not blame you if you just looked at the core rulebook for Demon of Fallen and said, yeah, this game is trashy, and just threw it away. And honestly, this game is the most disgusting and evil villains in all of World Darkness, where they're putting Tremere and Zamichi in a run for their money. That's right, the stuff that they've done and the stuff that they're continuing to do.
Well, they're demons.
Yeah.
What, Storyteller? What is the goal? What is the goal of Demon of Fallen?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. Like the funny purple horse once said, friendship is magic. And unfortunately, that magic can be kind of dark. It's the same kind of deal with the demons. Except you're not making friends consensually.
Well, the premise of Demon of Fallen, Colin Ryan, is that God has already left the World of Darkness. He's been gone for a while. And thanks to Ravnos, where, I don't know, Ravnos may or may not be the most important character in World of Darkness by this point. During that week of nightmares, the man blew a hole into hell itself, and now demons from hell are starting to come out of that hole. And you're one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the premise here. And you've got two objectives here. Demon of Fallen is supposed to be an end times only game. If demons are on the face of the planet, the world's going to end, that's it. There's no salvaging it. The goal is you're supposed to establish a following for yourself and your coterie as the new gods of this world that then stamp out the other demonic competition to secure your place as the new rulers of the world. Or the other goal is to find the earthbound, kill them, and free the world from demons that have been ruining their lives and poisoning the land for generations by this point. Whichever one you want to go for is going to be what game you play. So it's a little reminiscent of what's the current series out right now, Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen? Kind of, sort of.
Nice.
I'm going to say now is a pretty good time to get into Demon of Fallen if you want to look at it. So we're doing this video, and maybe if it does well, we'll do more demon content. Let's get into it. I would love to do Wraith, but nobody watches Wraith. Not even Lord by Night's videos about Wraith the Oblivion get views.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely depressing game. Why do you want to do that one?
It's a brilliant game, but nobody plays it, even though it's smart. There's something good on the table here, but nobody wants to give it a chance.
Well, yeah, I know it's smart, but no one wants to play it with you unless you have to play with antidepressants on tap.
This is why you play it drunk. Easy
You see
fix.
If Silent Hill took off the way that did, then Wraith of Oblivion should have been able to do the same.
Yeah, but who wants to play a Silent Hill tabletop game? Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, that sounds kind of awesome.
That sounds kind of awesome.
Make some notes here.
Yeah. We're going to ChatGPT right now. It'll make the game for us.
Oh, you do that too?
Yes.
I buy modules when ChatGPT can make them for you for free.
Right. So here are your themes to Demon of Fallen for you, Kyle. Redemption or redemption, yes or no? Where now that you're on the world, you're no longer being tortured in hell forever. Do you want to do the right thing and try to fulfill your heavenly role in the absence of God or where God has failed? Or are you going to give in your base desires and you're going to show the world what you really think of them after your years of torment?
Oh, but I've only got the best of intentions. I'm going to go help the world, make it a place without pain, without strife, without anger, without fear. And in doing so, erase everything that makes humanity fun and interesting. I fucking hate the Luciferians.
See, your second theme, your inner torment. You've been in hell since creation. Are you going to let that control you, or are you going to rise above it? Where you want to talk about stuff like, I don't even... Encanto was the name of the movie?
Yes.
If you want to talk about a story where you get over trauma, no, don't do that. Demon of Fallen is the game you're looking for. Where are you going to say, I was tortured in hell, therefore I'm going to become a bad guy, or I was tortured in hell, therefore I'm going to be a hero? Where it's that whole tip. Jordan Peterson's story has fallen, but I think what he was saying about the Cain and Abel story really does stick with me. Where when you look at somebody and say, well, no wonder you turned out the way you did because of the life you lived, that's not really a justification for being a bad person. It's an excuse that you were looking to be a bad guy, and this is your reason for being a bad guy. And you've decided you're going to let your torment, your addiction, your abuse, your trauma be what makes you the bad guy. It's going to be your excuse that you hide behind. So
it's like Batman and Joker with a one bad day speech. It's not that it was one bad day. It's just that Joker looked into the abyss and he blinked, where Batman and Gordon did not.
That panel where he says, so why don't you get the joke? Why aren't you laughing? Because I've heard the joke before and it wasn't funny the first time. That moment where you begin to doubt yourself as to whether or not you're doing the wrong thing, and then you come to the conclusion that yes, you are the bad guy. Just that kind of moment. And then your relationship with humanity. What kind of God are you going to become? Are you going to become a God that's going to shepherd your flock and say, here's who I am, here's the way it is, here's how the world really works, and here's how creation happened because I was there to see it happen? Or are you going to be a war god or a death god that's going to subjugate humanity?
Death god. Death god.
It wasn't that they were there to watch it. They were actively building a reality. They were God's working crew.
Can I be the god of fire where I just watch the world burn?
Technically, yes, you can. There is.
We got Ryan over here Joker maxing.
Got Ryan on board. That's all that matters.
And shall we go directly into the lore?
Yes. Lore us the fuck up, homie.
Now, the lore in a bubble is interesting, but I'm going to point out that there's some issues with this. Where keep very close attention to the words I say, especially if you're a werewolf fan. Alright, going into this. So this is me reciting this from memory where I don't have a script in front of me. I'm going off script for this.
Alright.
So you have the beginning where you have Genesis 1:1, God creates the light and then creates heaven, earth, the universe, everything around you. What he did to orchestrate that is that he created extensions of his will known as the Elohim, where this, aka angels, you've only called them that instead, where they flew around and did God's work for him as he commanded it, as they were an extension of his will and a piece of him, where you had 7 different categories and each one of them did their own different jobs, where their names were the Namaru, the Asharu, the Anunnaki, the Neberu, the Lamasu, the Rabisu, and the Halaku were their names. And each one had a different job. The Namaru were the ones who were God's foremen, so to speak, where you have the schedule in front of you, you're managing the projects, you're making sure that this stuff is getting done, and you're going to establish what would be what would have been governments. There's a Asharu, you're guardians and healers. You're the ones that created the winds of creation, and you're supposed to heal what has been destroyed. Keep in mind what they do after they fall. The Anunnaki were the ones who made humanity, where they built the earth. No, hold on. I think, no. Storyteller, was it the Anunnaki or the Robisu that made humanity?
Let's see. The Anunnaki are the ones that created the
Earth itself.
The dirt in the earth, yes.
Yeah.
And the other one was what was the other one?
The Robisu.
Probably Angels.
I think it was the Robisu.
The Robisu did the things that were pretty much part of wild, the nature, like wolves and animals and all that stuff.
Yes. So I'm trying to piece together between the two. Either way, one of those two ended up making humanity, but the Anunnaki made the continents and the ocean itself. The Nibiru were the ones that made time. Where just the concept of time, recording when stuff happened and when something will happen, was dictated by them. The Lamasu were the ones that created inspiration and art in the world. The urge to want to see things, to want to know what's beautiful out there, the wanderlust. That's what they're all about. The Robisu made all the animals, the plants, and everything. And then the Halaku were in a completely different world, the Netherworld, the Shadowlands, where they were the angels of death managing what happens to you after you die. And they never got to finish their job. Where you had all this going on, where everything was being built, humanity was built, everything's fun, and then God said, okay, now we're going to take this thing called the Tree of Knowledge and we're going to plant it into the ground. And then a few angels looked at it and said, God, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just putting the thing over here that's going to have humanity know the difference between good and evil. And once they know the difference between good and evil, they want to act on evil. Okay, well, once you do that, and it caused this whole back and forth between a third of the angelic host, where they couldn't really decide, whether or not this was a good plan. There was like some sort of long game that was being played here, or this was a bad idea. And one of the demons that decided this was a terrible idea was Lucifer, where he looked at this and said, well, you made humanity, you made creation, you made the world around you, and you want to add suffering to that? Something doesn't add up here. Are you truly as good of a god as you say you are? And it's led to...
my son. I'll be quiet before I hit you with my repair.
What the fuck was that?
You came in such good timing with that.
What the fuck was that, Sorry?
That was the voice of God.
So Lucifer thinks, what's going on with this? And 5 other demons also think the same thing. Those demons would be named Asmodeus, Azrael, Belial, Dagon, and Abaddon. Keep some of those names in mind. And they're thinking, well, we think that this is a terrible idea and that we need to take over and just, keep humanity and the world away from God before he ruins everything. Meanwhile, one of those demons was a snitch. I believe her name was, help me out here, Storyteller. I think it was like Lila or Lilel, I think it was called.
That does sound familiar. I'm going to admit, I'm not as deep into demon lore as I am with mage.
It's basically a reverse Lilith is who it was. And she flies over to God and says, hey, Lucifer's playing this thing. Lucifer's doing this. I'm not a snitch. I'm not a snitch, but I'm snitching. And then God looks over at Michael and says, you know what to do. And Michael says, sure I do. Michael takes 2/3 of the angels and then descends onto Lucifer and his army on Earth in an event that'll be called the War in Heaven, where the war ended in a stalemate because Lucifer and Michael were of such astronomical power that they could not kill each other. Just the concept of one beating the other was not a thing. So Michael left, and Lucifer's just on the planet thinking, I won, I guess he's gone, and so is God. I can do whatever I want. And then Cain kills Abel. And Lucifer,
then everything goes downhill.
And Lucifer looks over and says, what happened? What happened? What happened here? As he looks over at Asmodeus and Azrael and says, Dog, I thought you were looking after the Garden of Eden. What's going on here? And Asmodeus says, oh, sorry, is this what we're doing here? Where I gotta look over humans and micromanage them day in, day out? Is that what you want me to do? Lucifer says, yes. That's why we did the Fallen to begin with. Asmodeus says, no, that's not going to be my job. I'm here to take over where God has failed, and I'm going to become the god of my portion of Earth. Speaking of which, how big of a cut am I getting? And Azrael's also looking over saying, no, I don't really care that much about humans. I just care about being right. I just care about having my piece of the pie. That's to my name and to my name only. And Lucifer has this whole disagreement with his 5 generals where Abaddon is the only one that kisses up to him and agrees with everything he says. But is it because Abaddon actually agrees with the plan, or is he kissing up to Lucifer because he wants power? And Lucifer loses sight of his own mission, where the 5 generals give him a moment of weakness where he says, instead of doing the rebellion for humanity, he's going to do it for himself to prove that he's right. But by this point, God's already left the world, and then the rest of his Elohim come down, grab his demonic hosts, his allies, and then drag them into hell, where God made the abyss for these guys, a world of eternal darkness where you're tortured for all eternity. And then, with the heavenly host that was on board with God's plan, God picked him up and just left reality with them. And they're gone.
2.
Where the 2 of them stayed behind and would start off the events known as Haunted Reckoning. And they would not get on the ball about it until 12,000 years down the line. But Lucifer's looking around saying, well, sure, that sure was terrible. I'm sure glad they didn't take me to hell. And then Lucifer looks around and then realizes he's alone. He's got nobody around. They took everyone else to hell except him. Now, not all of these demons stayed in hell. Some of them managed to evade being attacked by the angels, and then some of them managed to climb out of hell during the early days where everybody was being incarcerated. These demons we would know today as the earthbound. How many earthbound are there, Storyteller?
Well,
I'm
there's
not
Ness
entirely
and there's
sure.
Lucas.
You idiot.
Well, those are the ones we know about.
Yeah.
How many
There-
of them are there, Johnny?
There are 666.
Huh. Convenient.
The exact number. And the 5 big ones are Asmodeus, Azrael, Belial, Dagon, and Abaddon. To let you know what Asmodeus does, just to give you an example. He was a former leader of the Silver Legion. We're not going to get into the legions for this episode because the legions are the same as the guilds in Wraith, where these used to be a thing, and then they were abolished, and now you only ever bring these up for historical reasons. But that's it. So, Asmodeus only ever joined Lucifer's rebellion for his own reasons, where he wanted to be a great architect behind the fall of the Great Experiment, where this was just all a game to him, where he was just participating in this saying, how far can I get with my own chaos? He helped sway Abaddon to darkness, where Abaddon turned out to be an even worse guy. You know that guy that was kissing up to Lucifer, that kind of be this whole sycophant that Lucifer could do no wrong? He's the one that convinces him to hate Lucifer. And then what does Asmodeus become? He becomes the pagan god of sexual assault.
Nice.
That's just what his job is. Where his demonic host, their whole holy mission is that we're going to find women, forcibly impregnate them, and turn them into demon spawn. And that's the plan.
That's pleasant.
And then if you're wondering what happened to Abaddon, what happened to him is that he became a mass murderer. Where he said, Lucifer doesn't love me anymore. Well, then I'm going to destroy what Lucifer loves the most. And he becomes this god of mass murder, where any sort of human atrocity or tragedy you can think of, it's caused by him. It's directly his fault as to why it happens. Where entire civilizations have destroyed each other because Abaddon has been whispering into the ears of their leaders. And as for everyone else, you have Azrael, where Azrael is just a selfish dick, and that's all he really is. He doesn't really have too many accomplishments to his name. Dagon is this paranoid weirdo that went on to inspire the stuff like the Cthulhu mythos, because he just looks like Cthulhu and acts like Cthulhu and talks like Cthulhu, and you lose your mind if you see him. And then Belial is just seething for all eternity, where he talks about how much he hates Lucifer and hates everything Lucifer did and how much he hates humanity, and then he doesn't do anything about it.
Ah, yes, the god of molding.
And that's all he is. He's got one of the sickest designs in World of Darkness, by the way. Let me show you what this dude looks like.
Yup.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
see it.
Let me post this picture in the studio notes. Here, check him out.
Studio notes.
That's a lot of
Oh,
time.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It looks like a
Yes.
metal cover. This is awesome.
There it is.
I think there's a couple people with that fetish.
With the demons of Demon of Fallen, you will lose your mind if you see these guys. It is just like Call of Cthulhu, where if you perceive a demon, it will destroy your worldview. You don't fall into delirium like when you see a werewolf. Your mind just breaks. You just can't comprehend what you're seeing, and your entire worldview just shatters, knowing that something like that exists and occupies a physical space. You can't live a normal life after seeing that.
Every chemical that your mind can make in order to use as a coping mechanism releases all at the same time and just fucks you permanently.
Yeah,
on top of that,
whatever self-defense mechanism in your brain that deals with the delirium pretty much just overloads when you look at a demon.
But if you're able to resist this, if you're able to keep your head on straight after seeing one, you become a thrall. You become a demon's trusted servant, and you become... Basically, they do to you what God's original plan for the angels were. You just become an extension of the will, where your own agency and your own self-worth are slowly stripped down as you just become the plaything and the follower of this demon. As your God's right in front of you, your new God's right in front of you, are you going to say no to this guy? No, of course not, because you know what's going to happen to you if you say no. So,
I'll be sitting in church when I can worship the thing that controls the fucking sun?
and if you do a good enough job, they might give you a lore. You know how you need to drink vampire blood in order to get disciplines as a ghoul? A demon could just give you a lore. They can just pass it on to you. There are mechanics behind it. It's a little bit complicated, but you can do that. You can power share in this game.
Oh yeah.
And what happens with Lucifer gone? Well, Lucifer's trying to look at the other Earthbound, and he realizes that this was a massive mistake, where not only does he not have control over humanity, he's got no power, he's all by himself. Sure, this is the only character who could kill Cain, to put into power scaling perspective. But he doesn't want to do that because he's so far away from his original objective that he can't do anything about it anymore. And with the Earthbound around, with them leading humanity into their deepest and darkest vices, he's so far behind the path that he's going to have to think for a long time until he can figure out how to get around this. So Lucifer disappears.
So hard.
He disappears from the story for a while, where nobody sees anything about Lucifer until, say, the fall of Rome, where there was a certain guy, a rabbi in the Middle East during the year 300 AD. I think his name was Jesus. Might have been Jesus?
Yes.
Where this is kind of cool to me, where the whole you guys at least know about the temptation of Christ story, right? In the four Gospels.
I know.
Yeah.
Where Satan showed up to Jesus, said, "If you do this, I will make you the king of all kings." Like, nah, I don't have anything to prove to you, man. I'm good where I am.
Instead, what this becomes is that they fuse it with the Gnostic idea, where in Gnosticism, this is why it's heretical. They claim that Jesus Christ had no divinity, but instead there was some sort of otherworldly, omnipotent being that did the miracles for Jesus on his command. That's what happens like in Demon of the Fallen, where Lucifer meets Jesus, they have the conversation, and then Lucifer says, if there was a son of God, it would be you. And you actually have some good things to say. Where even though Lucifer has this grudge with God, he doesn't hate God. He just disagrees with what he's doing. He's thinking, God hates me? I didn't hate God. I didn't have anything against the guy. We just had a disagreement. It just boiled over. That's all that happened. So he looks at Jesus and says, you know what? You're going around telling people you're the son of God. You're doing a pretty convincing job of it. Let me help you out with some of these. Where he doesn't help out with the miracles because that was Jesus' own doing. But instead, Lucifer goes around and spreads the word of the four Gospels. Where you remember how the Cappadocians and Vampire were hiding the 12 disciples, saving them from the Roman Empire? What Lucifer does while they're hiding is that he goes around, spreads the idea of Christianity to other people, and starts early Christian myth, where eventually he would talk to one Hermes Trismegistus, who would start the ball rolling for the Order of Hermes. Which, I think it's cool that, him going around and him telling people that Jesus and God were real is what inspired the creation of Order of Hermes.
Yeah.
That is
And-
that is a
Figure it out
neat
sooner or
mix
later.
of the splats there. I like that.
And then Lucifer would continue to go around where he would pretend to be God himself and would give Emperor Constantine of Rome a vision that God is real and I want you to stop worshiping these pagan gods and worship me. And he would do the same thing in paganism, and the Roman Empire would fall and turn into the Holy Roman Empire. And all these myths you hear about Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology about gods fighting, those were real and those were demons doing that. And then those myths slowly fade away from human memory, where all these gods become obscure, their temples are destroyed, their statues are destroyed, their stories are treated more as cool stories instead of religious doctrine. And how does the power system of Demon Fallen work? I think now's a good time to bring it up. Faith.
Oh boy.
Yes.
If a person believes that you're a demon, you get power from it. Where somebody just needs to believe in your power, and you get power. You can see how broken this becomes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it
Now-
actively encourages you piercing the veil, so to speak.
There is no veil with Demon Fallen.
Oh fuck.
Where
The only reason you don't want to show yourself off to other people is because word might spread to other more powerful demons that will want to turn you into a light snack.
the same with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where all stand users knew about each other. Every demon knows where every other demon is all the time, everywhere, all at once.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's worse than I thought.
So if you start growing too powerful, somebody else can just pull up the leaderboard, see how well you're doing, and then amass their demon army and attack you. So it's this constant zero-sum game going on in Demon of Fallen at the moment, where it's Kyle, you've seen Outlander. There could only be one. That's the whole premise behind this.
Yep.
So it's almost like a death game story in a way, where all these demons are fighting against each other until there can only be one left standing or a coalition of one left standing. And the reason why Christianity is being spread was such a big deal is that all these other demon earthbound with their pagan cults start losing people who believe that they're the real deal. Their stories stop being told, and all of a sudden their power begins to diminish. Now, granted, these guys are all still insanely powerful. Where, Kyle, how much damage can Kupala do in Vampire the Masquerade?
Remind me, Kupala was a Nosferatu, right?
No, Kupala was the one that made the pact with Zamichi.
Oh.
that
Yeah,
guy.
possessor of the world-ending supervirus. Say no more.
So that's how strong the Earthbound are, where at any moment, the Earthbound could end the world. Each and every one of them has the power to do so. And it's up to you, the other demons, to prevent that from happening so you can have Christian continue and still have a world in which you can rule. Because you can't live in a world with the Earthbound in it. Not anymore, at the very least. Now that you're coming out of the abyss. And that's where the lore of Demon of Fallen kind of stops. It was hard to piece through the story, too, because Kyle just, once again, starts the same trend that I fucking hated in Meiji Ascension, where instead of just giving us objective fact, it was a dialogue between two characters the entire time. Like, damn it, why the fuck do you guys keep doing this?
To make it
Why can't I just-
interesting and readable and stuff.
Like, why can't I just say, like, this happened, yes or no? And this is why I'm so grateful for Red Talon 2nd Edition. Where
Because the Red
Talons
Talons actually tell it like it is.
like, the Red Talon said, you want to know about the thing, or here's the thing. And that's it. No bullshit, no fluff, nothing. It just gets right to the point.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
for
Red Talons don't have the intelligence to do all the bullshit.
yeah,
Yeah,
but to an extent, like isn't the whole idea like, yeah, it's good to know like how things happened, but I feel like there should be like, I feel like aside from all the clan books, there should just be like a general lore book that would help tie everything together. And the clan books are more so to sell a side of a story to
Yes.
make playing that said faction more believable and, you know, make it more seamless to a player who tries to inhabit somebody indoctrinated into that mind space. Like, you know, Toreador, you're going to believe that Toreador are great and everything, and there were these guys, and they were betrayed by these guys. And also don't worry about that other stuff you might have heard from everybody else. You know, get shit like that. And then you can
If it-
check that
it
side
was
by
like
side
that.
with like a general lore book. Like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, so here's where I need to enact the Toreador lie. I feel like one thing that World of Darkness has always missed is that while they're really good at the unreliable narrator, the fact that there isn't a just out and out clear text definition of how everything went down makes it a little bit more difficult to actually dissect the lore. And I think having that, as well as all the other faction books, would really help allow a player to inhabit the mindset of somebody in a faction and really help sell the setting.
Hey,
Ryan, go take your shower, get clean, and come back.
Cool. Kyle, I got a question.
Yes.
You said that the narrator is unreliable. Would you call him a poor narrator?
It's your favorite Korax.
I named him after a Rusty Cage song.
With that, I'm gonna go take a shower.
All right, get clean, get washed up.
It's not that.
Enjoy
Washed
your
up.
sins.
It's like 80-something degrees out, and I'm in the basement, and my PC is heating up my room.
Oh,
How many clothes are you wearing?
Uh,
All right, we'll
That's
stop
a-
wearing them.
that's a question. I shedded most of my clothes the moment I got down here.
I understand. Why wear pants in your own house?
There it is.
It's
Yeah.
shorts, but close enough.
There it is. All right, yeah, all right, go get cleaned up, dog. We'll keep going.
All right.
All right. So, with Demon Fallen, though, you notice that there were a few vocabulary terms that I didn't say at all in that lore. If you,
Yeah, most of the ones referring to the actual factions.
well, no. Notice how in that entire creation story, I did not once say the word Umbra,
That is true.
Oh, I understand why.
where not once in these books, in any of the books, does the Umbra ever come up. Where, in a story where it comes out and says that there was one monotheistic god that created the world, the universe, and everything, and then you put it next to Werewolf and Mage, where the Wild, the Weaver, the Worm were real people that you could talk to.
Yeah.
You notice there's an issue here?
Ever so slightly.
They're
Where-
not there.
It's like you can't have it both ways. Where did the Umbra come from then? Was the Umbra always there? Was that just like some other group of angels that never fell were doing the Umbra? Because you never bring that up. And none of the other splats ever have demons. None of the demon books ever have a mention of demons making the Umbra. Like the people that made the wildlife, the trees, the plants, they were Bisu. Would they have known about the Umbra? Would they have known about this? Say, oh, we made wolf. Now we also have the totem spirit wolf, and we also have wolf jaglings and gafflings and the incarna wolf. And that's not brought up once.
Well, actually,
Once.
there's a reason for that. It's because back in those days, the age of myth and creation, there was no Umbra. It was just all one thing. There
And then
was
now
no
that
godness.
it is a thing. Now it is a thing. The demons still don't interact with it. Not even Earthbound interact with it.
Yeah.
Where Asmodeus, Dagon, Belial, Azrael, and Abaddon, wouldn't they have all known about it and would have had machinations with it?
I mean,
And
if they did.
and at the same time, what about mages then? Where all these mage powers where are we also going to forget about umbral realms, pocket realms, layered realms, the far horizon, the far off? Are we going to have demons in outer space? Is that going to be a thing, or is it just Earth?
That would be terrifying.
Would
it
be.
is. Imagine the entirety of Mars just turns around one day and there's a face on it, and that
The
happens.
Void Engineers would turn around and put up a giant force field around Earth immediately.
And with so much of it, where the spirit world, where if there was a book where it would have been time to say, yes, this would be a great time to explain how the Umbra came into being, this would have been the book to say it. So all I'm left to imagine is that the Umbra came from humanity, but okay, but how? How did the Umbra come into existence? Is what I'm thinking about. Where not even the Umbra books, not even Umbra 20 talks about this shit. It just exists. It's just here. It's just here. We have a wall between worlds, and you can pass through it, and there's another world here. Okay, well, how'd the world get here?
God,
That-
God, I need some answers. Where the fuck did the Umbra come from?
And that's it. There's just no explanation to it. And along with it, where Kyle, you remember in previous iterations of Vampire and of Mage, how we got detailed descriptions of how the Baali contact and talk to demons, how the name Nafandi get in contact with demons. Those descriptions don't match this. Where
What was the difference in writing staff?
like Kyle, how did Lucifer get his power again?
Hell, a Somber got his power?
From the abyss.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Dagon, I believe.
Yes, and how did the Baali get their power?
From Baal.
Yeah, from a demon baby that crashed into the world that they made a pact with.
Yes.
But the powers that the demons of Demon of Fallen have don't match what we were told in the Baali books or the Mage books. And that's something that bothers me.
So there is a discrepancy there, and they never really clarify that.
And then lastly, there's two factions of Mage where I'm going to say just the existence of Demon of the Fallen completely spits in the face of your paradigm and would shatter it the minute you met a demon. The Verbena and the Dream Speakers. Where, as it turns out, Verbena, the goddesses you were worshipping, it turns out they were fallen angels. You are Nafandi by another name by this point.
Yeah.
Again, another episode where we shit on the Verbena.
The
Yes.
Verbena are just good guy Nafandi. That's all they are. That's the only difference between them and regular Nafandi.
Yeah.
And even
So,
then, they're
to
not
be
necessarily
fair-
good people.
No, they're not good people. But to be fair, not all of them are demons. There's shit, my brain just stopped working.
There's Phoebe. There's
Vampire-
Luna. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Lilith. There's that.
There's,
Phoebe's a shit fucking name.
Yes.
Yeah. I am the goddess of the moon. You may call me Linda.
what would you rather call her Sakta then? Because that's also her name.
I like that better. Phoebe sucks.
You were not a fan of Friends, I take it.
I just hate
Phoebe
the name
sounds like
Phoebe.
the quirky little sister of the moon
Yeah,
god.
that was her
does.
character in Friends. That's what it was.
I don't care. I don't like Phoebe. It's a terrible name.
And then with Dream Speakers, with their whole shtick about the Umbra and spirits, well, that doesn't really mesh with Demon now, does it?
Not
Because-
really.
because-
They're more Werewolf the Apocalypse than they are demon.
Because the Melgin Incarnate in that case, where the Melgin Incarnate had a lot of demonic and satanic imagery to them. Okay, what are the Melgin Incarnate then? Where are they supposed to be now?
Spawn of the worm? Oh.
Well then, what's the worm in this situation? What's the worm in this context now?
Actually, that's a good point. If I remember correctly, the worm is stated to be something that was there before God showed up.
It's a cosmic force of death and entropy, where notice at no point in any of these books do Lucifer and the worm interact or even know about each other. The cosmic force of death and entropy doesn't know who the archangel is. It doesn't know who the Morning Star is. And the Morning Star doesn't know about the worm. And
It does seem like a bit of a miss there, doesn't it?
where with this game being so steeped in Gnosticism, would it be fucking awesome to have Lucifer and the worm square off with each other?
I mean, that would be kind of
It
fucking
would be
sick.
kind of cool, but at the end of the day, you're gonna lose no matter who.
Where Lucifer looks over at the sky and sees that there's this giant snake in the sun and says, God left and you took his place? And now you want what I accused God of, but so much worse? There should be this whole sort of war going on between the two where Lucifer's trying to undercut the force of death and entropy, and I guess take the role of the Weaver where the Weaver has failed. But then again, in the context of Demon of Fallen, who's the Weaver then? Who's the Wild then? Who's Gaia then?
Not important. Don't worry about it.
Where nothing in relation to Werewolf the Apocalypse or Maze Ascension gets any mention in Demon of Fallen and does not mesh at all. Even though Werewolf the Apocalypse and Mage have mentioned demons multiple times, there's an entire camp of stargazers dedicated to the hunting and killing of demons, and they aren't brought up once. The only thing that involves a werewolf and demon crossover is that werewolves will automatically enter a frenzy the minute they see and identify a demon. And that's it.
Because
That's all I
they're just
get.
massive worm spirits.
That's what it is. But then again, like, what's the worm then? Can Demon of Fallen just clearly give me a definition as to what the worm is supposed to be in this new context? And no, you don't get it. You don't get it. You'll get told what the worm is supposed to be now. Because is it the devil? Is the worm Satan now? Is that what you're supposed to be? Or what? Or fucking what? Where, Don, like, you know it's bad if it's a lore style where I've gone to like Chat GPT and Gemini about this, and not even they can think of how to reconcile this.
Not even the digital eye knows what the fuck is
Not
going
even
on.
AI knows how to get this to work.
If the fucking voice of the Weaver can't figure it out, then you know that there's something crucially missing with this game.
That no, like spirit animism and monotheism cannot exist at the same time in a setting.
Which is
Along with
ironic
it-
considering the mages exist and they can do that.
And along with it, just how many mages does this make just objectively wrong now?
A lot of them. Unless you're a celestial chorister, in which case your paradigm is just reinforced with steel.
Whereas it turns out the Celestial Course was right. The Celestial Course was always right to begin with. And the
And the
Akashic,
Sons of Ether, I guess.
and so are the Sons of Ether, but the Akashic Brotherhood, the Euthanatos, the Dream Speakers, the Verbena, and the Virtual Adepts are all completely wrong. Everything about them is wrong now.
Not completely.
And then the Cult of Ecstasy was always just a Cult of Ecstasy to begin with. And the Order of Hermes is half right. Just half
Yeah.
correct.
The Order of Hermes
They're
like,
the
wow,
most
I got
right.
off light.
And yeah, I'd be able to see why a lot of people have issues with Demon Fallen.
Yes.
It
But-
just ignores this massive chunk of the setting.
But in isolation, and if you're just saying, hey, I want my World of Darkness to just be demons, vampires, and wraiths, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's fine. If you just want the World of Darkness to be those three things, they work perfectly as a triangle with each other. Also, I forgot to mention, I just thought about just now, how does changing the dreaming mesh with any of this?
It doesn't.
Changing the dreaming just does their own thing.
It does,
Sure.
but changing also works because changelings came into existence by human thought and human emotion.
Yes.
So do demons have something to do with that too?
Entirely possible.
No.
Well, actually, there was that one demon clan. What was it? The Namas?
The Lamasu, yes.
Yeah, the ones that created like human imagination and artistic. Does that technically make them the architects of Arcadia? And
I
the
guess-
changes?
Honestly, yes.
I guess Mother Danu was a Lamasu then in this context.
That honestly
God.
sounds kind of cool. I'm kind of on board with this.
So that also means that the first Fianna slept with a Lamasu to make the Fianna.
Look, what happens?
Also
in Ireland
kinda
stays in
cool.
Ireland.
That's how it works. So,
Kind of based too.
Let's be
there's-
real. Like, imagine the end of times comes up and Lamasu shows up and it's like, I am the mother of all of your kind and I will see you through to the end of this apocalypse. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, man.
where the only way I could think of to, say, work with the lore snarl is that, say, like, the wild is more like an extension of God himself that was left behind in order to oversee creation. And that you could go off and say the rules of antithesis, where if creation needs to exist, then destruction needs to exist, so the worm would have willed itself into existence to begin with. And I guess you could make an argument that the Weaver would be an angel on her own, who never fell, and was supposed to preserve the world the way it was after God left, and is now trying to keep both the God machine that is the wild and the death machine of the worm in check. So it would kind of justify her in trying to bind both of them and keep the world the way it was. Given that, Kyle, if you got a substitute teacher coming in, what's the substitute teacher going to do? She's just going to do what the teacher was going to do with class before and just maintain the status quo of that classroom.
Yes.
That's what the Weaver would be. That's what the Weaver would do in this context. And I guess it would also make Queen Ananasa a bit of a parallel to Lucifer as well, because Queen Ananasa is trying to take over the Weaver's role where the Weaver has failed and left humanity just as much as Lucifer does.
Yep.
You're Lucifer, he's Lucifer, I'm Lucifer. Are there any more Lucifers that I need to know about?
It
It's a
could
amazing
be in
archetype.
this very room. It could be you.
I'm
It
not
could be
Lucifer.
me. It could even be.
And I'm trying to think of what I just remind myself of. Where I'm thinking of just Lucifer interacting with other members of the World of Darkness. Kyle, you've never played Shin Megami Tensei 3, and you never will,
No.
because it's one of the best games ever made. But I know that you would fucking hate it if you played it.
I likely would.
The idea of Lucifer and Queen also working together reminds me of this.
Hang on.
Just this image.
The fuck is this?
It's Lucifer split into 4 different people in the third game, where he's the old, the young, the feminine, and the masculine all at once. But he exists in 4 different incarna. So that is both the feminine and masculine side of Lucifer that you're talking to.
Listen,
makes
the
sense
devil's
at all.
very sexually seductive.
How sexy is the devil, Joe? Hot. No, I'm not talking about the demon. The big daddy. That podcast was the best ever made, and they took it off of YouTube.
It is funny.
Because YouTube doesn't allow fun.
They dropped the red pill too hard in that episode.
There's no red pill to be spoken of. It was just idiocy.
I actually thought he was onto something with some of those ideas.
No, Alex Jones a fucking nut.
No, I swear, he had his finger on a button, but didn't fully press down on it yet.
Yeah, and then went off in 15 different directions.
Where it was the alcohol and the weed they were smoking that threw it all off.
Alex Jones, what is your opinion on this?
What do I do, Lord? Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
This is their plan, people. These are demons.
I love that soundbite so much.
I knew it was a good idea to grab that.
We still at one point need to get Alex Jones in as like head of the IAA. I think that'd be so funny.
We just need to get an AI rig of his voice to just do that.
Yeah,
I mean-
I would pay Alex Jones to just be a voice in the campaign. Just
If he just opened a Fiverr account.
dude, he would make so much money. He would pay off all that Sandy Hook money in like a day.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
absolutely.
We just need just pay him $5 to say something, and then that's it. That's the business model.
Yes,
He would be able
100%.
to retire tomorrow.
As I was. He's also he's got a bunch of skinning off his face if you've seen him lately.
I think he lost like a lot of weight and like shaved his head.
Yeah,
or something.
because he's poor because he's hobo maxing now.
He is.
He is. He looks like a fucking raisin. And he's red. He's live right now.
Oh Jesus
What
Christ!
The legend continues.
Wait, hold on. He's in a studio again. He got a studio back. He was filming these episodes in his living room last time I saw him. How'd you get your stab at? You're $1 billion in debt. How are you affording this?
He probably
How are
just
you enforcing this,
straight up
Alex
isn't
Jones?
paying it because he thinks it's bullshit.
That's
My
what you
God,
do with your debt. You don't ever pay it.
Like everyone else in America.
I don't care if your credit score is 278. You can still live a normal life.
Look, man. Hey, look. They loaned $40,000 to an 18-year-old. No, they need to learn some financial responsibility.
With the infinite credit line. And with Demon of Fawn, next point we're going into. So we talked about the model, but there still is some question on Gaia though. Like, what's Gaia supposed to be? Where
I mean,
The
I know
daughter
you're doing
of
virtual
God.
adepts next week. I think the Gaia would be considered like a sort of AI program God made to watch over the place.
given that computer exists in Autochthonia,
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
where I guess like
Virtual
just
ad-
the like. I suppose if stuff just wills itself to exist, is this the planet itself willed her own existence into existence?
Yeah.
Entirely
given
possible.
the idea that reality is dictated by the consensus of the whole, I could probably see that the Umbra was possibly willed into existence by just people imagining it.
That's
because
true.
humans were made in the image of God, and
Yeah.
in doing so, we have God's image. And I've seen some heretical sexist Christianity say that we have a fraction of God's power inside of us, and we can all do miracles. Well, I don't think that's a thing, but in the context of World of Darkness, maybe that is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because after all, you have that spark in you, and it just needs to be awakened by the two angels in Hunter Reckoning. Because as it turns out, this isn't supernatural power, it's human power that we always had access to, but just didn't know it.
Yeah, which is why mage is my favorite one.
Because you always had this power and you just need to figure out that you have it.
Yeah, and then once you do, you pretty much just become Neo from the Matrix.
Hell
You
yeah.
gotta break out of that matrix. You gotta become red pilled. You gotta watch an Andrew Tate video,
No.
and that's what makes you.
know.
And that's what makes you ascend.
But
Ew.
I-
I'd rather stay asleep. Thank you very much.
No, I think I'm gonna, follow through on my my Euthanatos nature when it comes to Andrew Tate.
I'm so glad his star's fallen that nobody gives a shit about that guy anymore.
See, I just hope that he eventually gets arrested for, being a human trafficker and then stabbed in prison, but that's not going to happen.
Well, it happened to Vitaly, so it's probably gonna happen to him too.
One can hope. See, this is why I play as a Euthanatos. It's because, remove
Because
the
you just want to kill people. That's all you want to do.
That is true. I want to remove evil before it has the chance to hurt anybody else.
As you're going to take Ethan Ralph away from me.
I will, because he deserves it, and you said so yourself.
He's worse off alive than he is dead, Kyle.
No, he is not, because he can still cause harm to people. You said it yourself.
It is true. I was there for that.
See, he just likes seeing me get mad about shit.
Because it's funny.
I am very funny when I'm mad. I'm going to go get some tea. I'll be right back.
Question for you, Ryan. Do demons know the difference between good and evil?
No.
Because after all, did they eat from the tree of fruit of knowledge of good and evil?
Nope.
Now, that's a question that I don't think Demon Fallen ever gives a straight answer to, where they either knew what good and evil was from the beginning and followed it off of divine purpose, where you were told what the right was, you were told what the reason was. There's this concept in a lot of Asian religion, I think it's called the Re, or the reason, where if you do the right thing, whatever the right thing may be, you will know what it is when you see it, and when you do it, good things will happen to you, which would eventually go into ideas like karma, where you just live a righteous life, where you do what you're supposed to do, good things will come your way. And that's what would have happened with the demons too, where we just do what the right thing is supposed to be, what the will of God is supposed to be, and then we'll be happy and we'll live good lives. And going away from that would be what evil would be. So they wouldn't know the difference between good and evil based off of that. Or these are beings that did not know that the rebellion was wrong and only learned what evil was based on their time in the abyss. And that could be an idea. So question for you, Storyteller. Would Lucifer even be evil to begin with, given that he's never been in the abyss?
It depends on what you mean by evil. I mean,
'Cause-
the guy isn't so much looking to destroy everything. He wants just, play with his dollhouse and just be happy.
Because all
And
of his dialogue and all of his actions in World of Darkness, he's doing what he thinks is the right thing. He's doing what he thinks is best for humanity, but he doesn't realize what the implications will be if he has his way. Where it's not that he's a bad guy, it's that it's misplaced good intentions.
The road to hell.
Where
Yeah.
I think as an antagonist, if you're looking at Lucifer as a central antagonist of the demon, that actually makes him one of the most interesting characters in World of Darkness to me. Because he's a guy that isn't evil, but what he's doing, he thinks is good, but he doesn't realize, what you think is the right thing, what you think I need isn't always what I need. And that there actually was a purpose to God putting the knowledge of good and evil in humanity, and you just never figured out what it was.
We were given the knowledge of good and evil in the hopes that we would choose God.
Because the whole thing behind it is that it was a test of human obedience, but not just that, it was a test to see God's love would mean nothing if we couldn't say no to it. Where, Kyle, I am going to cash up you $5,000.
First,
And there's
Jesus.
and there's nothing else you can do about it. I'm just going to give you $5,000 every week. And I'm just going to keep giving this money to you. Is money going to mean anything to you if I just give you this reliable $5,000 every week?
Well, I would be mostly concerned for you. Where the fuck are you getting all this money from?
Well, just assume that I have infinite money that I can just keep giving you.
Well, I mean,
Don't
no,
worry
then
about
I'm
it,
like,
go
well,
ahead.
damn, I don't gotta fucking work. I can just, chill off the Johnny stipend.
And even so, where you could just keep getting this money, where I would just keep giving it to you until the day you died, and then the money would stop that day, and I would outlive you. Where stuff like debt, what you'd be able to afford, what you'd be able to spend on, you'd still have to save up for stuff, but the idea of running out of money wouldn't mean anything to you because you'd always have a reliable $5,000 every week.
Exactly.
So if I were to just give you my love unconditional, it wouldn't mean anything if I could just stop giving it to you.
Well,
That's the
does
analogy I'm making there.
God, I don't believe, stops loving us. I think it's up to us to accept that love.
It's that, from my understanding and how I've looked into it in my own religious pursuits, this is a being that wants to have a relationship with you the best he can. And even though the human mind cannot fully comprehend the nature of God, given that this is a being of such alien power that we could not comprehend it, we could still come into a relationship with it. As for what I find God, I don't use the whole omnipotent, omni-good definition. I'm saying God is the will of existence itself. He's what wills to be and wants stuff to exist. That's how I define that. And you can have a relationship with this being and come to understand some of the will. At least the most you can within your time on Earth and what little your human brain can comprehend.
And it's not necessarily him that is doing and or making. It is him imparting that drive onto us in hopes that it comes to be.
That this is something that wants us to do stuff, to go out there and get something done. As for the goodness of God, it's up in the air with some of the stuff too, because you look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, and they're two very different stories, and then you get into this topic of, well, how much of that was the ancient Hebrews putting their own will into the Bible, and how much of it was the Catholic Church imposing their will in the Bible, where it's good to look at the Bible for information, but it's a lot of stories you could boil it down to just being human experience. Where just looking at this, what led me to becoming religious again was more of a deist approach, where I was just having a conversation with myself saying, does God exist? And the conversation I came to ended with, yes, he does exist. And then after that, it was, well, what form does he exist in? And what does that look like, and what are his intentions? Where that was 7 years ago, I had that conversation with myself.
And here you are today.
And most of my beliefs line up with Catholicism, but that's more like, that's what I follow because that's what I believe God takes place. That's the closest I can imagine to his will being in written form, if that makes any sense. That the ideas in Catholicism, that's the closest to what I think God is in writing. Where this is still a being where I don't think we'll ever fully understand it, and I don't think we're ever meant to either. Because it's a long game that we're not meant to understand, is the point here. And once again, you can live forever and still not understand it, and that's the whole deal with Lucifer, where you've been around since creation existed, and you still never got the idea, you still never got the concept. Where it's the same as, say, evil Salot, in terms of villains to me, with Lucifer. Where, or Karen from Wraith the Oblivion. Where I think there's a really good story here for Demon of Fallen. And Kyle, what's a game of Demon of Fallen supposed to look like? Now that you think about it.
Well, like you said, they all know each other. There's a leaderboard. For you, it is imparting. It's split between your nature, depending on the sort of demon that you are, and how you wish to go about consolidating that power against heaven. But in order to do that, you need followers. So, first thing you got to do is you got to know what kind of demon you are. And there's a couple of different kinds of them. Did you want me to go over some of those now?
Well, let's go over the concept of what demon's supposed to be as an end game.
I think the end game of demon is you usurping not all of heaven, because that's ridiculous, but, bending a part of the collective conscious to your will as a demon.
Where so I've broken this down into 3 different win conditions in my mind as to what a victory would be for the factions. Where we'll get into detail with what the factions are after this segment. Where kind of the Reconcilers and the Cryptics. This is more like a redemption story where the Reconcilers are trying to get back into contact with heaven, or at least try to fulfill the will of God as they perceive it on earth and try to be benevolent. While the Cryptics are thinking, okay, we fell and the entirety of the fall was predestined. Why was it predestined? And you're trying to understand what the divine will is supposed to be, where the Cryptics are more like a neutral faction, but they're more neutral good than anything else, more neutral evil. And you're trying to realign yourself with what the rule of existence is supposed to be. And the one condition would be finding peace within yourself, transcending your fallen status into as close as you can get back to your angelic status, and trying to become a benevolent force of good in the world of darkness. Hopefully seeing humanity through Gehenna, Apocalypse, and Ascension in that situation as well. While the Luciferians and the Faustians would have more of a domination path, where you're building an army that will take the place of God where God has failed. And you need to go around and you need to wipe out the earthbound, you need to wipe out the other demons, you need to find your boss man in Lucifer, and as a Faustian, either bring him onto your side, or as a Luciferian, put him back on the throne he belongs. And that would be our idea of a win condition. Or the Raveners, where it is putting the world out of its misery, where it's a rampage game. You see the world of darkness on
basically.
You see the world as at the end, and you become the force of the apocalypse here to put out its misery. Where everything's got to go. The Umbra's got to go. Humanity's got to go. Supernatural's got to go. The game does not end until everything is gone, and then you just go to sleep forever, and then everything stops existing.
That sounds disappointing.
That's the name of the game. Where that could be a pretty interesting story, but that's going to be the path significantly less traveled in Demon of Fallen.
Yes.
You're going to be really pressed to find a game where anyone's playing as a Ravener.
Yes.
Now, getting into this, you have the demon types. Behold, Brian, you got to catch them all. We have many different types of demon out there.
There are quite a few. Yes.
All right. Shall we go over?
How many?
Shall we go over them in alphabetical order? Maybe begin with the defilers.
Yes.
Let's be fair. These are demons. Why not start with chaos and start with N?
But the end, you want to go in reverse alphabetical order?
No, we start with N, then we go to B.
And then just random order?
Yep.
All right, well, Kyle, random order. Which one do you want to start with?
Oh, well, I was doing them alphabetically, but, you know.
All right, it's alphabetical it is. Let's do it.
So, from the top, you have the Defilers with this gentleman here on the front that looks like Fred Durst at the start of his career.
I think he looks more like Eminem, but, you know, that's just me.
I don't know. Eminem never had a... Well, actually, he's a beard now, but he never had a goatee and like a dumb hat like that.
You become the douchebag demon with these guys.
Basically.
Also, notice that the main villain of Werewolf the Apocalypse has his name.
Oh, what, the Defiler?
Yeah, the Defiler Worm.
Which is weird because they honestly are more in common with either the Cult of Ecstasy or the Setites than the Defiler Worm.
Yes, this is a sex demon we're talking about.
It is. So the Defilers were originally called the Nereidus, Nereidus. They were of God's most beautiful creations. They were wellsprings and muses. Their powers resonated with the passions that led for art and insight and truth. They were meant to inspire humanity, beguile them with mystery, spur them to adventure. You know, they were the inspiration of humanity. And so these angels, before their fall, had the keenest insights into human desires, but God's design ensured that the vast gulf of the sea would always stand between them. And then it was not long before they lamented their duty to heaven and the love they bore for mankind. And then looking back, many Defilers believe that had Lucifer not stepped forward to be the banner of revolt, they would have been the ones to do so. The fall sort of galvanized the Defilers in their conviction, and they used their powers to inspire both mortal and rebel angel alike against the struggle against heaven. They became living symbols of the very rebellion itself, reflecting the best qualities of the resistance, spurring others to do the same. and they also helped sustain the morale of the rebels even in the darkest days of the war. They would heal spiritual wounds that no scourge devourer could touch. So, the devotion of these fallen inspired some. Goodness, this is a really weirdly worded sentence. Basically,
it's a
it
strange
inspired,
sentence, isn't it?
yeah, it inspired the most heroic and noble of the exploits during the war. It was a terrible loss for them when they did eventually lose the war, and they never wavered in their conviction that the rebellion was a just cause. Although they were more accustomed to the isolation than most of the fallen, the Defilers were among the first to succumb to the agonies of the abyss. They, were broken. They were quite broken after that. And once they reemerged, they could lead men and women to acts of jealousy and obsession that ruins families and destroys careers. But they could also, at the same time, encourage mankind's understanding of philosophy, art, friendship, provide a vision of beauty amid the bleak reality of the modern world. So, as for these sorts of demons, most of them are likely to be either Faustians or Raveners. In the case of the Faustians, well, actually, no, they did this backwards. The Raveners...
Humanity, human thrall, please put your head between my legs and give me power.
Basically.
Very good. Now put me between your boobs.
So
They just want sex. That's all they want is sex.
basically,
That's it.
yeah. They break hearts and minds and have a lot of good times doing it. Faustians just are kind of whatever about humans. Some are fascinated by the Luciferians and cryptics, but then very few become reconcilers. They're drawn to the vain and passionate, and they take deep joy in the immediate that they can inspire in human beings. They always want to do something radical to change the world, and while they are really good at pulling together a mob, that doesn't really help them in terms of gathering faith. So what they need to do is build that crowd and then convince some people within it that the Defiler is indeed trustworthy. As for the relationship that they have with other demons, they don't exactly trust the devils, because it seems like the devils are trying to impose their vision on everybody else.
What?
Yeah, you
What?
don't fucking say.
State the obvious? What?
Yeah. The Scourges, they share a lot of similarities, being concerned with the physical elements of life, and that makes it easy for friendship between the two of them. Malifactors, they are quite interested in the Malifactors because they seem to truly grasp the intersection of beauty, mystery, and function, even if only in the inanimate. They don't really understand the fiends all that much. They have a very cold reason for everything. Devourers, they have a really strange kinship between the two of them. Both were given dominion over the wild and are concerned with matters of the flesh. And the Slayers, they see them as kindred spirits who understand the pain of real loneliness and isolation, though the moodiness and tendency towards introspection puts a strain on the relationship. The Defilers don't really, truly dislike anybody. They don't trust the devils, but they also will still work with them. Everybody else, they just seem to kind of chill with.
There's here to chill. There's here to fuck. That's it.
They did it all for the nookie. Yeah, the nookie. Yeah, so you could take your cookie and stick it up your yeah.
And in case you want to know what it's like to play as one of these, well, behold, this is what your character looks like.
Let biscuits down. Oh wait, no. Yeah, okay, no. Can I put that on? Can I put that on the screen?
Yeah, I can. This is Darkstalkers.
Oh, okay.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Basic interaction with a Defiler be like,
Let me smash.
Go find Becky.
You
Right.
want some fuck?
No line.
You got the whole thing on that sample.
Oh my god.
You want?
Yes. Ryan, are you an ass man or a tit man?
I like to think I'm a both man.
There we go.
Base.
He's a switch. He's a
But
switch.
I would
We're gonna play a song again.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, this isn't Limp Bizkit at all. This doesn't look right. I'm disappointed. I was expecting you to post a picture of Fred Durst in the Nookie music video.
It's where he's getting arrested at the cop car at the end.
Yes.
We're shooting a video.
We're shooting a video, man.
We're shooting a video. He's sounding like a fucking pussy the entire time. All right, Devils. Let's get into it.
These ones are my favorites.
Is the super venture. Oh, well, hold on, I forgot to mention something. Kyle, you want to know what a Lamassu is historically?
Sure.
It is a Sumerian lion guy, where it's a lion with the head of a man and wings of an eagle, and they created storms.
Oh.
And that's what they did.
Okay.
So in case you look at the lores later and you're thinking, well, why does the sex demon have access to water magic? That's why.
That's funny.
All right, and now we go into the Asheru.
The Devils?
Where in case you're wondering why are they called the Asharu, that was the name of Babylonian god Kingu, who was the dragon who hated the world and wanted to destroy it until Marduk destroyed him and then used his body to make the world.
Are we talking
Where
like
in
ancient mythology, or is this someone's D&D game?
Ancient mythology. Where in case you're wondering, why are they named after Kingu? The devils are the foundation, so to speak. As Kingu was the foundation of the world, the devils are the foundation of demonkind.
Yes, they are, as the book claims, the first and most perfect creations of God, to bring his light to illuminate all of creation. The greatest of all angels were the leaders and princes of the celestials, shining examples of all that was glorious and right in the eyes of God. The first duty of the house was to convey the will of heaven to the rest of the houses of the host, instructing them as to their evolving role in creation of the cosmos. They were incredibly prideful of this responsibility, and as Proverbs says, pride goeth before a fall. The freedom to alter the course of the stars became a source of hubris that would eventually contribute to the fall of the daemons. When the grand design finally culminated in the birth of humanity, Celestials were surprised at the Creator's commandment to remain invisible and allow mankind to discover its potential on its own. Their dissatisfaction found voice in the greatest of their number, which was Lucifer the Morning Star. In the end, nearly half of all of them chose to side with Lucifer. A greater percentage of defections than any of other celestial house. Now cursed as the devils, they became the generals, the leaders, the heroes of the rebellion. They were with awesome powers of leadership and inspiration. They set out to lead humanity to a new age, but as the war raged on, they grew distant from the humans, becoming demagogues, dictators, manipulators, and they would soon poison the well of good leadership in the early days of humankind. Filled with pride and defiance, they refused to believe in the possibility of failure until they failed. Go figure. And afterwards, of course, they were imprisoned in the abyss, but also then used their powers of charisma and deception to turn on each other. To turn all other demons on each other in the abyss. Now that they're back, they take a look around, and they believe that now is the time for humanity to be reminded of the past glories and bend the knee to demonkind. Fallen devils who seek redemption see a new opportunity to save humanity from the evils that threaten to destroy it and build a new utopia, that was ultimately Lucifer's goal from the start. You're going to fuck it all up. Don't do it.
Nah, it's going to fail. It's going to fail.
I just want to talk to a Luciferian.
You can see the writing on the wall with these guys immediately.
I see that every time it comes up. Every single time they bring up the Luciferians, and my response is always going to be the same. Okay, you build a dollhouse, and then life is always perfect and boring, and then there's nothing we can do about it. You have ruined everything that makes humanity.
Break these guys down. These are just a bunch of people skinwalking as Lucifer.
They are. It sucks.
They want to be daddy so much they want to fall into his alcoholic tendencies too.
You're my YouTube dad. You're my YouTube dad. I'm going to act just like you in public. It's not going to be cringe at all.
Yep. Parasocial relationships. It's the best. So the devils are intensely political puppet masters. Most, if not all of them, are Luciferians. Some are Faustians, and there's very few of either else. For them, mortal worship and faith is a prize, as many of them mostly care about the end goal of the Morning Star. Many devils become cryptics after the disappearance of Lucifer in order to find out what might have happened to him. And some who truly love humanity become reconcilers, and fewer still are Ravener. On the all, a social build is paramount when it comes to playing a devil. You need to pour honeyed words in the right ears and poisoned words into the other. You need to know how to play people against every side. It's paramount for this faction.
If the Ventru's superpower was money, the devil's superpower is gaslighting.
Yeah, you notice just how
I like
similar
it.
they are. How similar they are to the Ventru.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And meanwhile, the other power-hungry vampire clan shares more similarities with a different group of demons we'll talk about in a minute.
Honestly, every faction needs their own rich asshole branch.
Yeah, it's
Whereas
important.
you got this in Werewolf, you got this in Changeling, you got this in Mage, and now you got here.
Yep. And following this, you have werewolves, but demons.
Yeah. Now these guys,
The
these guys are
Devourers.
fun.
Yes. So the Devourers in the beginning of the world, the Angels of the Wild, were given dominion over everything that crawled, ran, flew, or slithered across the earth. They were in charge of the wild. Matter of fact, they likely were the wild itself for the longest time. And so, they wove the countless strains of life into an intricate tapestry of beauty, majesty, and power. They had solemn pride and a strong sense of personal honor. They governed the realm with justice and compassion. And so when humanity did finally arise, they were both, full of wonder and consternation for the angels of the wild. While God made it clear mankind was meant to master the wilderness and every living thing in it, they were completely ignorant of its ways. They were kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. They had to protect and preserve the wild, but they also saw the ignorance of humankind as its greatest threat yet. So, for all their reputation as impetuous, instinctual beasts, the angels of the wild were most reluctant to, host the consideration of defying the will of heaven. In the end, those who joined the ranks of the fallen believed that there wasn't any other way to be true to their original purpose. They didn't join the rebellion out of some strong disbelief with God. They thought that it was the only way for them to keep their jobs and actually do what they were brought to do. And so in the end, they were brave and devoted to the rebellion, feared and respected by both sides. But once they were brought into the abyss, they accepted exile stoically, but separation from the living world took its toll on all of them. Following the disappearance of Lucifer, they felt betrayed and forgotten, and they were ready to wreak their havoc on the world once the gates were cracked open and they were able to rise again. They saw how much the world had changed since their fall and seen that their greatest fears had been realized. The humans had forgotten everything that they had been sent to teach about care for the mastery of the world, and with their destruction surrendered completely to their animalistic urges and wished to destroy everything that they possibly could. Some are still loyal to Lucifer, others became Raveners, fewer still are Reconcilers, and even rarer are Cryptics within this. They have all eroded their souls through violence, but can also sometimes pose as just very standard individuals. However, a lot of them are most comfortable with the short-term goals of destroying those that ruin their original job. What determines the radicalization of a devourer is how high their torment score is. The amount that they are willing to get into bloodshed and fight for the wild is directly correlated with how much torment they are. Lower torment will hunt specifically poachers and people who seek to destroy the wilderness. But those of high torment will just kill everybody they look at.
Where, between the two, Kyle, which do you prefer?
I think the correct answer is somewhere in the middle.
And there are three different things merged into one, kind of, sort of. They're every fair breed, the Gangrel, and the Zamichi combined into one group.
Basically, yeah.
Because, like, notice there are lores, the house lores. Notice that one called Lore of the Flesh.
Lord of the Flesh?
We're going to have a lot of fun with that power.
Oh, yeah. It is just, what was it? I forget what the Zamichi power was.
A vicissitude.
It's basically just vicissitude.
Now, Kyle, do these guys necessarily sound evil to you?
I mean, their actions could be construed as evil if they're indiscriminately killing people, but they're not doing anything dissimilar to the werewolves.
Because they're more like a force of nature villain if you put them in your game.
That is basically, that's their whole purpose of being. They are angels of the wild.
Yeah, like, I was made to do a thing, and I'm doing the thing.
Yes.
You introduce a werewolf to one of these things, they're gonna be confused as hell.
Yeah,
No,
you're
this
like,
is the super werewolf.
you wear the flesh of man, yet you do all the same as us. Are you kin?
As for what they're named after, the Rabisu, if you want to know what that thing is, in Akkadian myth, that was their vampire.
Oh.
But it kind of combined with multiple different demonic things where, say, the vampire was also a griffin at the same time.
See, that's kind of cool.
And the vampire didn't parasite off of you, it just murdered you violently and then drank your blood and then ran away. That's what happened.
Fun.
So, yay.
Okay.
Also, do not look up Rabisu on Google because I'm getting images that I did not want to see.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Okay.
apparently someone on FA found this name very fascinating.
Oh, Jesus.
All right.
Anyway,
next group.
This is where I This is where I didn't finish taking notes. The Fiends.
I'll take it from here after the Fiends.
Yes. So the Fiend's job was to regulate the cosmos, to know where the orbit of each star and each planet lay within the radius of the cog, the celestial flywheel, and all the other gears linking all this giant dimensional mechanism together. They were the overseers of the great circuit that will become the universe as we know it. They regulated by the means by which the heavens affected the earth. They directed the swell of tides, the course of the moon, the winding of the earth, and causing the seasons to turn. Of all the angels, they were among the most distant from humanity. They loved their brothers and sisters of clay, but, they were really far away from them. They had a lot on their plate when it comes to, making sure everything actually works so they can continue to live. When the rebellion came, one central factor kind of split the faction down the middle. It was one amongst their number, a seer named Arimo, who first saw the dire potents that would reveal themselves as the fall. At the time, he and his companions believed that the impending disaster would occur if they didn't act. So they quickly after that became one of the most vocal proponents of calling in the rebellion. In fact, the fall was the root of the catastrophe that Amaral saw, and there is not a single fiend to this day who is not haunted by that collective mistake. He thought that if they didn't call for rebellion, then everything would be fucked. But then he realized that he read that vision wrong and fucked it up for everybody. Lucifer himself prized the fiends as advisors and strategists, since their ability to see divine future earned him some very quick victories, but the war was very costly for the fiends. They didn't anticipate how much destruction it would truly wreak, and it was a sign of, once again, hubris. They considered that the great design would not be upset by their actions. And then all who rebelled, the fiends were cast into the abyss, into a special hell of their own. While the fiends by nature are, very organized and regimented beings, the abyss could not be codified, charted, or piloted. With no way to organize their surroundings, they all went absolutely insane. They were racked by the maelstrom. The fiends sensed the great engines again and saw the cracks leading to freedom. And upon re-emerging, they found the heavens derelict and undirected, and the great engine itself sort of jittering along. They'd regained their touchstone, but it was worn and maybe even beyond repair. The same could be said for them. They were the right mechanic for the right broken machine. So they searched for knowledge first and foremost. Their broken breasts lie, within their broken breasts lie an argument. Goodness gracious, I can't read fucking today. Goodness gracious.
You can do it. You can do it, Kyle.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
okay, Kyle. That's just your brain cells dying. You've been spending too much time around me.
No, I've spent too much time at work. I need to quit my job and
You're
join a
being
grind.
demented in real time.
Yeah, I need to quit my job and join a grindcore band. Anyway, so some say that their search for the shards of congruence is just a distraction from inevitable inward examination that leads many fiends to the Raveners. Almost no fiend, however, believes that destroying the great engines of creation will do anything more than make everything worse. For obvious reasons, many fiends prefer cryptics in their search for truth, obviously. Some, but very few, are drawn to the Reconcilers, if only because the fiends were always so distant from Eden prior. Maybe they think that reconciling would be a way to bring themselves back to where they're supposed to be. The second most popular faction would be the Luciferians. Perhaps because, he protected the fiends from, recrimination when the war was lost. The elders among the fiends, however, say the fate of Lucifer is yet to fully run its course, but they have no actual answer for that. And, some are drawn to the Faustians, and they believe that controlling humanity's destiny is just another course that's supposed to be charted and directed. They have an affinity for patient seekers of knowledge, like themselves, who question the universe by just prodding at it, getting their hands dirty, stumbling about in the dark with little regard for body or soul. But more than anything, they want people who seek answers. They don't care how they get them or what they're willing to put forward, as long as they get smart people that are looking for answers.
So yeah, there we go. It's the bookworm demon.
Basically, if
Now,
you want to
Kyle-
play a Tremere demon, play this one.
Oh, Kyle, you notice that their icon is a spider.
Yeah, it didn't go lost on me.
So if you want to go for, say, a theory that the Triad are demons that really struck it big and have fulfilled celestial roles, the Wild would be a devourer, the Weaver would be a fiend, and then the Worm would be a slayer in that situation.
Yep.
And as for these guys, I think it's pretty cut and dry as to what they are. Though they're parallel, I don't think they're so much the Tremere so much as they are the Malkavians. Because
Well, yeah,
the
it makes
Malkavians
sense.
are, have all the knowledge, but they don't know how to piece it together. The Fiends are trying to learn everything there is about the universe as a whole, and they want to do it themselves their own way. Where, this summarizes how they feel to begin with, right? Because it's my way, it's my way, it's my way. I gotta do it my way.
Yeah, and then you break it. Good job.
Yep. And I will take over the role for the next three selections. Alright. We have the Malifactors. Sorry, I need to tell you what a Nibiru is first. The Nibiru is the Akkadian word for crossroads.
Oh,
That's just what it means.
okay.
Alright. The Malefactor with the butch lesbian demon. I can't see us as anything else. I'm sorry.
Is that a woman? I literally cannot tell.
I think that's the idea.
A woman? Alright. So the Malefactors, on the third day, God gave stewardship to the land and its materials, soil, gem, fire, whatever, and called for a group of artificers, later known as the Malefactors, to do so. Where their whole thing is to teach humanity how to farm Earth's resources. You farm, you mine, you smelt, you craft tools. If you look at the Jewish myth, they're essentially the demon Azazel, is what they're doing. That you came down and you taught humanity how to build. You taught them how to make swords. You taught them how to make houses. You taught them how to make jewelry. You taught them how to light fire. Essentially, what they're doing. It's an entire faction of Prometheus, is what this is. And the artificers eagerly embraced the mission, wanted to share their love for creation with all of humanity, they love building stuff, Kyle. They're like the knockers in a way, where all they want to do is have humanity in their little gnome homes and their little shacks and their factories building stuff all day, and that's all, and that's it. They're engineer mains from TF2, Kyle.
Yep. Basically.
And how to go wrong? How to go wrong? Humans feared and resented the angels' gifts for perfection, and then used those gifts on each other. This hurt the artificers deeply, who only ever wanted to help and love the humans and be loved by the humans. So Lucifer capitalized that and said, hey, if you want your way with the humans, why don't you help out me in my rebellion? And of course, every malefactor got duped into the fall alongside Lucifer. And then what was your reward for it? Hell was your reward. A dark abyss where it was cold, you were withdrawn, you had nobody to talk to, you had nothing to do in hell besides being tortured. You were separated from the thing that you wanted to do and were made to do.
Hey, Malifactors, you want me to help? You want to help me defy the will of God by building me weapons? Congratulations, you get eternal suffering and loneliness.
You get CBT.
And while they were down there, they had nobody to talk to, where every single one of them became introspective and withdrawn, where these are social creatures. They could not get along with their torturers. So all of them became socially stunted, where Lore by Night made a video called The Red Talent's Autistic, where...
I mean, is he wrong?
Well, me just saying that sentence out loud. I honestly think the Malefactors have a better analogy for autism than anything else, because you want to do the thing, you're socialized in a way where you're based around objects. So that's just something that stood out to me in my mind when I was reading the Malefactors. And also thinking about that video, where now in the modern world, humanity has become they're building weapons of mass destruction, they're building rockets that go to the moon. The Malefactors today are both horrified and deeply proud of humanity and want to take back control of being the foreman, where, what you're doing is cool, but I think you should be doing what I want you to do instead of what you want to do. And your inventions have caused so much destruction, where you made a factory, cool, I'm so happy you made a factory, but you're polluting the environment with that factory. I think I should come in, I should take over this factory and show you how you're supposed to do it with my arcane knowledge. Some Malefactors, on the other hand, embrace destruction, where they're happy you built the nuke. They're accelerationists that want you to blow up the planet already and be done with it despite God. And other ones are just hurt by what they see and just want to wipe the slate clean and just start all over again from the beginning, where we want to go back to the glory days where we were teaching you how to farm all over again. We want to hit the reset button on the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
As for what
new game.
As for what groups they break up into, Kyle, what do you think the biggest group would be for these guys?
For the Malefactors?
Yeah, what do you think would be the biggest group?
I would say either Raveners or
It's Faustians.
Really?
Where with the Faustian bargain, it's the whole thing is, I will show you how to make the super sword that can cut through reality. You just need to give me worship and power first. And other ones are the Reconcilers, who want to say, hey, God, we're sorry for what we did. Can we please have our old jobs back? I'll be so happy to become the your foreman and the guys building your continents all over again. Because, we really need this job again. You see what humanity's doing without us. You also have cryptics, where they exist. They're trying to think, well, why was I fired? I was doing a pretty good job, in my opinion. I'm trying to think, why did I lose my job? And then the Luciferians, where these guys are rare, where these Malefactors are broken to a degree where they don't really have wills or agencies of their own anymore. They're just relying on Lucifer to tell them what to do, to give them purpose and give them direction, because they were just that broken by their time in the Abyss. And as for Raveners, you don't really have Malefactor Raveners. These guys build stuff. Raveners destroy stuff. The two don't mix.
Yeah, no.
What do you think?
Build stuff that tear things down, but I think that's a little too much brain power for them.
Where most of them, even the nuclear accelerationist ones, are just doing this for their own gratification. That's, behold, I'm the one that taught you how to build a nuke. I'm the one that taught you how to build ICBM, and not God. Ha ha! Look at me, I'm so smart. SMRT.
Yeah,
That's
I
the whole-
doubt you're gonna find any of these guys on the Pentex board of directors, though.
You
Probably
could,
not.
yes.
Oh wait, actually? Oh fuck.
And they have two things they want out of humans. First one is that they want humanity to lean on them, like they did back in the glory days. And the second one is that, let's see, when reaping faith from Malifactor. Let's see, dumbstrike. Well, it's more that every single one of them is just an attention freak at the end of the day. That you just want all eyes on you. You want people to acknowledge just how smart and how talented you are. Is what the second thing is.
They should really become those YouTubers that work with like smelting iron and metals. I think they'd get a lot out of that.
Yeah, the
Probably
gun
would.
tubers.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is my
This-
super AK-47. It shoots nuclear-powered bullets. I'm gonna teach you how to make one and how the government can't take it away.
Hell yeah.
Ryan, what vampire group does this sound very, very similar to? It starts with a T, Ryan.
Tremere. Toreador.
Toreador. Yeah.
I got
Yes.
it on the second try.
He saved at the last minute. Yes, this is essentially the Toreador demon that you're playing as, where you're not a poser Toreador, you actually are the artistic Toreador. You're just born with talent. You have talent, you know. And as their relationship with everyone else, they're jealous as hell of the devils getting all the attention instead of them. They don't really have anything to get along with the Scourges. The Fiends, they're okay with the Fiends. Defilers, they deeply understand each other and will get along very well, but they don't trust each other. Devourers, nothing to get along with, and the Slayers, they respect what they do, but they don't really have anything to do with death. They're building stuff that's supposed to last forever, after all. Calvin, do these guys actually sound like bad guys either?
Not particularly.
And
Some
also,
are
who
political faction.
and the reason why they're called the Anunnaki in Mesopotamian mythology were the people that built the planet, which is why they have this name. All right. Who's next on the list? I believe it is
That
the
would be-
Scourges.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Let's see, the Scourge. We're talking about the Scourge. All right,
Nothing
Why would we
particular.
why would we think of this chump on the screen?
He
like
looks
someone
like
who works at, like-
Sure, go ahead.
It looks like someone who works at an IT department in an office building. And he's just
Kyle,
fed
it's
up with all
you.
of his workers.
He's just like me, for
Kyle,
real,
You're
for real.
famous.
No, you know who he looks like? He looks like Edward Norton in Fight Club, minus the glasses.
He does.
He's
And
pulling the Superman.
so, their origin and their purpose. Scourges were once the angels of the wind. They breathed life into humanity. You remember that moment in Ezekiel where God breathed in the life to all those skeletons in the valley?
I didn't watch
That-
Ezekiel.
No, that's Book of the Bible.
Oh, well, no, I didn't read that one.
Where's this like scene in it where Ezekiel's in this valley where there's all these corpses and God just brings all of them to life and you see the flesh grow on the bones and air into the lungs of all these dead corpses.
Isn't
But
that
that-
lo though I walk through the valley of death, I fear no pain nor evil?
That's dead corpses. Good pros on my part too. And so they went over and they said, "We're going to watch after and protect humanity. If anything ever threatens humanity, we're going to come in. We're going to save them. We're going to make sure they can live their life the way they're supposed to." Where, say groups like the Malifactors or the Devourers would build something, the Scourges would then fly over and just bring life into it. And then behold, we now have something that lives. We now have an animal. We now have a tree. We now have a rock monster that existed before the Order of Reason got rid of all of them. And behold, everyone is happy now that I'm breathing life into you. I wonder why I'm called the Scourge now. Huh. And when they found out that humanity was going to suffer, they were torn between joy and sorrow, where we're now related that, we got more work to do, we're going to help protect humanity, but at the same time, humanity is suffering. Where we don't want humanity to suffer. We want more stuff to do. We want people to lean on us, but we don't want you to suffer for no reason. And this emotional tension led them to a breaking point where, like Lucifer, they joined him because they just cared about humanity too much to let them suffer for no reason. And they became elite warriors during the war, where they were super fast, very smart, very hard to fight. Kyle, you're fighting the wind itself. How do you think you'll win that fight?
With a wall.
Where in Demon of Fallen, a scourge just moves through you, just walks through you, and you die. That's what fighting one of these things is like.
You know, it's interesting. I find they're like an odd mix of the devils and the devourers. Oddly enough, where it was
this is
they love
I compromise
humanity,
between the
but
two.
they also realize that with humans supposed to suffer, they would be out of a job.
And now they're escaping where they're looking around and saying, "What the fuck are we looking at?" As they're just looking at all this misery going on. And a lot of them are snapping emotionally. As we're stand in Demon Society, every single demon out there knows about the Scourge, knows about the raw power of the Scourge. If you're looking for a combat meta build, the Scourge is the demon you're looking for.
Yeah.
And what are they known for? Emotion. Very strong emotion, on par with the Lamasu, where these guys tend to crash out in your games as NPCs, where they'll just lose control over themselves or get too passionate about something and then just start kicking the ass of everything around them. Where at some point in your demon game, you will have to deal with your Scourge player or deal with your Scourge NPC. It's just going to come down to that point.
The Red Talon demon.
Basically.
Kyle, it's the same as putting it into a Civ 6 analogy for you. It's like having Napoleon on the map.
Yeah, it's not good. Gotta nip that shit in the bud yesterday.
You could work with Napoleon, but at some point you know that Napoleon's going to turn on you.
Yep. It's either going to be him or it's going to be Cyrus II of Persia, where he literally gets, he gets his, oh God, what was it? Warmonger penalties are halved, and all grievances from declaring surprise wars are halved.
As for their abilities, they're also the premier healer of the Demon Fallen 2. And that leads to the faction they're with the most being the Reconcilers, where these guys are on their hands and knees begging God to return to the planet, saying, we're wrong. We were wrong about this. We were so wrong about this. Please come back and fix this. We don't want to live in a world that looks like this anymore. Please come back and fix this. Or they're trying to be the ones that will be the ones who will act on God's behalf after they realize that God's not coming back. Saying, instead of being the villains of Redeemed and Fallen, we're going to become the good guys of the setting, and we're going to heal people and just save the second of dying. But with their intense emotions, you can see how this is going to backfire.
This Always Sunny in Philadelphia theme plays, and it just says, the Scourges are not the good guys.
It's going to get to a point where one just cares too much, and then that love is going to drive them crazy. Like it did before. And as for the other ones, the ones that particularly crash out and just stay crashed out after their time in the Abyss become Faustians and Raveners. And you can imagine just how deadly the two of them are.
Yeah, probably not good.
And there's very few members of the Faustians that see Scourges. That's the rarest one. But the ones that do exist are very deadly. As for the other two factions, you have just some of them are in the cryptics where, they're not really the guys that ask questions now, are they? Just our job is to breathe life into stuff, and we did. It wasn't really our job to question this kind of stuff. And you also have some Scourges that follow Lucifer, but these guys are just desperate to have anything go right, where if God's not coming back, we gotta go to Lucifer because he's the next best thing. And that's the Scourges for you. So, what you think?
Well,
Pretty interesting
go ahead.
demon, to be honest. Sorry.
And,
I
and
guess
then
if I'm going to bring one of these in.
sorry, I was going to bring up what their name was. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I messed up a name before, Kyle. Oh, sorry, the Asharu are the names of the Scourges, not the devils. I'm sorry. Okay, retraction.
Good
All right.
catch. Good catch.
So the Kingu dragons, that's what the Scourges are named after. All right. Let me give you the actual name of the devils now that I realized it. I had a reading comprehension moment. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So the Namaru, okay. It's actually I'm getting results for a Japanese word. It means to shine or burn brightly. That's what that name means.
That makes sense.
I mean,
Bold,
that
you
works
got
better
your
for the devils.
you got your anime in my Demon of Fallen.
We literally have the power of God in anime on our side.
We do. And as for their relationships with the devils, the angels bore light than before and were used to be semi-important, and already just bother about their own machinations. The Scourges do not like the devils by any means. Malefactors, they like them. They make humanity happy with the stuff they build. Just the Malefactors don't like them very much. The Fiends, well, at least somebody is out there putting stuff together, even though the Pin Pushers don't really have much to say. They don't really make for good conversation. They appreciate what they do. The Defilers, they see almost eye to eye. But they think the Defilers just use humanity. The Defilers don't actually love humanity the same way the Scourges do. The Devourers, so you do your thing, buddy. We're just gonna, do the right thing while you go off and do the wild thing. And then the Slayers, well, when was the last time one of them talked to a Slayer? You're the guys that breathe life into things. You don't breathe death into something. That's what a Slayer does.
Yeah.
So once again, you have no reason to talk to these guys.
Pretty much.
And now we talk about the Slayers. What do you think of this character, Kyle? You can hear the evanescence slowly growing louder in the background.
Well, no, I heard Slayer, and all I heard was "Trapped in Purgatory, a lot of subject alive."
Die by the sword intensifies.
Dude, I got my rib cracked in a Slayer mosh pit. It was insane. I couldn't breathe for 2 weeks.
Raining
As for-
blood starts playing.
That's what I was saying.
As for results for a name Halaku, I'm getting it as another name for Genghis Khan. So
Of which,
how many people Genghis Khan
linguistic
killed?
denomination?
Yes. And there's also one where it's like a Persian figure whose name is spelled Hulagu instead. No, I'm gonna say meaning for the name is out, but the idea is that they kill people, or deal with death.
These are the literal angels of death. The only ones you'll probably see in your Wraith the Oblivion game.
Where
they
if you
would
look at
place
that, if you look at that really strong Grim Reaper, that's not actually a specter, that's a demon. You were screwed from the beginning, from the moment initiative was rolled. As what the Slurs are doing, they're angels of death, the last of celestial houses, and the ones that were given the last job to do, dealing with death, where they didn't really have anything to do until humanity was born. And they were just around in the Shadowlands, just managing it, saying, okay, nothing ever happens here. We're just in a world where just nothing happens. Kyle, did you ever, Ryan, did you ever see Death Note? No, I don't think you did.
No, I did
I think he's
not.
muted too.
I have. I remember.
You remember the Shinigami world?
Of course I do.
That
That bleak, barren land where all the Shinigami are just sitting around watching humans do their thing, and they just like, you get to die today.
where precisely that's exactly what the Halaku, the Slayers, were doing. Kyle, that's the image, by the way.
Let me.
Just that.
Yeah,
That's your life as a Slayer.
that looks pretty rough, I'd say.
Yeah, this is a depression picture right here.
I could write a fucking doom metal song about that.
And it wasn't until humanity started to die that they actually had something to do. Now, humanity fears death and also fears the Reaper, even though you shouldn't. So you can imagine just how angsty the Slayers were, even before the fall happened, where nobody wants to see them. You can imagine how that feels. Where you love humanity, you want to see these guys prosper, you're here to lead them into heaven, and they're pissing their pants when they see you. Feels good, doesn't it?
Well, I
Feels
mean,
good, bro.
yeah, it's part of the job.
So when Lucifer comes up and says, we're going to create a world where humanity never dies, and you Slayers, if you succeed on this, I will give you a job where humanity will love you. You can see how many desperate Slayers would jump onto that mission. Where Lucifer said exactly what they wanted to hear. They were just so desperate for somebody to look their way that they took up on it. And instead, Lucifer sold them a bag of lies, and they were plunged into the abyss. And they did so with... And while they were there, they killed a lot of people too. It wasn't just angels, but it was also humans that were devoted to the angels. As it turns out, the demons weren't the only ones creating thralls. The angels were doing the same. And the guilt of that has just broken the minds and the hearts of the Slayers. So when the Great Maelstrom happened and they came back into the world and saw what the Shadowlands looked like, where now there's a guy there called Karen who has created it, who has created purgatory, so to speak, in the Shadowlands. And now everybody is suffering and being turned into coins. And now you have specters running around, and darkness and oblivion itself is made manifest when you have this controlled. The Slayers are looking at this and thinking, oh no, everything has gone to shit without us. And they're in a desperate struggle to try to reclaim the Shadowlands. Now, in Demon of Fallen, the meta plot of Wraith the Oblivion has concluded in that story. So Karen is no longer around, but you can still see the effects of Stygia. And the Jade Emperor and all the other kingdoms of the Netherworld are still around, but Stygia is gone. It's just in the process of collapsing. It's been collapsing for years. So the Slayers don't do anything on Earth necessarily. They're in the Shadowlands trying to put it back together, trying to put it back to the way it was, but the only thing you have to go off of is the memory of what it looked like 12,000 years ago. You can imagine just how well the job is going.
Yeah.
And some Slayers have become so disillusioned where, Stygia is beyond saving. The Shadowlands are beyond saving. And look at the world where humanity has become this resentful, this wrathful, this evil. A lot of Slayers have just said, you know what, fuck it. We're giving up. We're done. There is no saving humanity. We just gotta put these guys out of their misery so we can just stop feeling pain. Maybe if there's nothing for us to feel guilty about, we'll stop feeling guilty and we'll stop being miserable. It's a faction of despair. And of all the demon factions, this is the one that occupies the Raveners the most. Most Raveners that you will encounter are a Slayer that's just pushed past the point of no return. That just cannot deal with the existence of existence anymore.
If I kill everyone, then I'll finally be happy. Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
You're just absolutely broken beyond all repair.
It didn't really work now, did it?
As for other factions, some of them are reconcilers, but only because they're not trying to reconcile with God. They're just trying to save the world, so to speak, which just technically puts them in the same spot as a reconciler. Saving the world through saving Stygia is how they're explaining it. After that are the cryptics, where they're trying to think, well, why did it have to go this way? Why did God make this thing? Why was this system designed to fail? Is what they're trying to figure out the answer to. Where most of them just abandon their job in the Shadowlands just to try to find out what the answers are before everything goes to shit. As for the other group, you have Luciferians, where they still believe in the lie that Lucifer told them, where if Big Daddy Lucifer comes back, then humanity will love us. And then very few of them make up Faustians, where, humanity already feared you. You don't really have anything for humanity anyway. And there are lores too. Lore of death, lore of realms, lore of the spirit. Most of this stuff is utility and offense based. So nothing that humans really going to be making a pact for. And do you get along with anybody? Not really. Not really.
No.
They're basically the faction within a faction. They're just happy doing their own thing.
And they'll only work with somebody if they're just that desperate for contact from anybody. Where not even the thralls are doing it for them. And there's your factions.
Yep.
One of these things coming down to like a regular human, and you just whisper in their ears like, Please love me.
Well, those are the demon types. So did you just like shoot quick fire through them?
Yeah, the demon type. So, Ryan, out of the 7 demons we listed, could you see yourself playing as any of these?
Yes.
Well, which one in particular did you want to do?
The one that wants to burn the world.
What? Slayers?
Yeah.
Yes. Ryan is Joker maxing in real time, everybody.
He really is.
Hey.
Excuse me, goodness.
Ryan's going to turn on that camera. He's going to be wearing white face paint and red lipstick.
And then he's going to be defeated by a 9-year-old smoking a bong.
Kyle, tell me what demon you want to be as I look up Joker maxing.
Oh God, what would I try to? I mean, a Defiler would be the most fun, I feel like, but just for a good story, Oh God, this is a fucking hard one. I think I would wind up playing a Defiler just so I can have an excuse to play guitar during the games.
Where, out of all the ones I'd go for, I tend to play idiot characters pretty well, so I'd end up going for the Devourers.
Oh, you would play Ends the Road as a Devourer.
There it is. Well, you haven't met her yet. She's in the Friday game. I ended up just playing as Mighty.
Mighty.
Where, Rap Red and Dan know what I'm talking about, and they will tell you stories.
Oh boy! So you played another murder hobo.
Well, she was the fun kind.
It's
good to kill some. It's good to go crazy once in a while.
This is a setting for that.
And as for our factions, Kyle, we go about the factions now.
I didn't take any fucking notes because I ran out of time.
Okay, so I will lead you through this one. All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to look at them until like earlier today.
All right, so what do you think they are based off that name?
The famous novel written by German author Wolfgang von Goethe about the man who meets the devil at the crossroads, and he sells his soul to the devil for something.
He sells his soul for a corn chip.
Basically.
And as it turns out, making that deal was a very bad idea. That was also a play that Goethe wrote at different parts of his life too.
Yes.
Where he wrote the beginning when he was young, and he wrote the end when he was old. And you can see the difference in writing style if you ever pick up Faust. So these are people that say we need to become God where God has failed, and they want to do it themselves. They don't want to wait for Lucifer to come back. They want to say humanity's in ruins. The world's in deep shit. We need to get this done ourselves. We can't count on anyone else to do this for us. So they're going around and becoming the new gods of a dying world, where they're going around making pacts with as many people as possible, and they're faith maxing is what they're doing. We're just run up to somebody to go into a dark alley. They just go full apocalypse form and say, "Hey, buddy, you want to see what a demon looks like? Check me out." And then you make the deal with the guy right then and there because you know he's going to kill you if you say no to the deal.
Or you get a thrall to hang around at a bar waiting for somebody to go, "Man, I really wish I had blank." And you go, "Well, I do know a guy. If you show up at this crossroad on this street at midnight, this guy will show up. And then he teaches you how to play this guitar real good." "Oh, Tommy, for that you traded your everlasting soul? Well, wasn't using it for nothing."
Ironically, Kyle, don't these guys sound like the Earthbound?
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of their own thing, though.
Yeah, but the Earthbound have just gone fucking crazy and just destroy stuff and control stuff. The Faustians are just the Earthbound, but they still have some humanity in them.
Yeah.
It's
that human experience that the Earthbound don't.
For the homosexuals in the audience, this is the radio demon from Has-Been Hotel.
Alistair?
Yeah, Alistair. I forgot his name because I haven't watched the show in forever.
Because you're not gay, that's why.
Well, that, and I got into it briefly, but I never really fucking got back into the show.
And
come now, Kyle. Well, give us a chance.
You are quick on the draw with that.
He really is. Jesus Christ.
And I know you guys watch Amazing Digital Circus. It really is that quote in episode 4. Cain only puts us on good adventures because he likes us.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's it. Where the Faustians want to have a relationship with you, but they want to be the ones in control of it.
Yeah. They want to hold
It's a very parasocial relationship you have with these guys. And whether or not they go along with anyone else, they do not like the Reconcilers. Look at the Reconcilers and saying, what is this? Are you trying to be good people? Are you trying to kiss up to God? Are you trying to make peace with the Almighty? How about fuck you? How about I take the role and I smash you in your little fortress and pity party and become the God that I know I can be?
Well, that sounds like you're going to fuck everything up terribly.
And they don't also hate the Luciferians because instead of just waiting around for your golden God to come back, you're wasting your time over here. How about I do it for you?
Why be a king when you could be a god?
Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven is the mindset. And as for Reveners, absolutely not. No, they want to control humanity. The Reveners want to destroy humanity. Guess how the relationship goes?
Not
you can't
great.
exactly rule a dead kingdom.
No. Seems like the Faustians don't really like anybody.
And the Cryptics can just do what they want. It doesn't bother them.
Yeah, but they don't like anybody.
No, they don't like anybody. They don't even like each other because they're all in competition to see who's going to get the highest follower count.
It really is like Xbox Live Gamer Score. How many souls can you take in 1 week?
It's an entire faction based around a zero-sum numbers game.
Yep, Gatorade me, bitch. That's what it's all about.
So who's going to get the most sponsors? Who's going to get the most money? Who's going to get the most power? And then that's it. There's no real unity amongst the Faustians. As for who leads these guys, Belphegor, the demon god of sloth, leads these guys. As in wasted potential is what that word means.
Yep.
So he goes around granting people gifts to achieve potential that was otherwise wasted.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I suppose that's fair.
And as for the faction itself, as for why a demon lord of sloth is running it, you realize just how much progress the Faustians could have made if they, worked together? Just how quick the end times would come around and how quickly Apocalypse and Gehenna and everything else would be solved if they just got along.
Yeah, but that'd be too easy.
Exactly,
Plus,
too easy.
destruction doesn't exactly work well with others.
Exactly. So you just have all these guys who are eventually going to screw each other over. It's a game of civilization where there can only be one winner.
Ryan and I know a lot about that, don't we, Ryan?
Hey.
He did win, I think, the past 2 games, I will point out.
Yeah.
Next up are the Cryptics, where I mentioned these guys briefly, but they're saying, okay, the fall happened. Why did it happen? Why did it have to happen? Was there a point to our suffering? Was there a point to this destruction? And that's an entire group of basically bookworms trying to figure out the real problems of the universe. As it turns out, you're wasting your time. Malkav already knows all these answers.
Yeah, but talking to him is hard.
Yep. Well, how well did your last conversation with Malkav go?
He tried to blue screen my computer, and I had to boot it from a USB.
And that's what they're doing. You remember that the guy that started this faction was Aramal, the Fiend, where he saw the future wrong, and then this massive fuck up ended up happening from it. So, really what the Cryptics are, they're similar in goal to the Nosferatu, where the Nosferatu are trying to gather as much information as they can. Or like a Sabbat Nodist, where learning is the mission behind this. Where they're trying to understand God's perspective, they're trying to decide whether or not they can become like God if God is never going to return, and lead humanity into a new golden age. And thirdly, they're trying to think about whether or not Lucifer actually had a good idea or whether or not he was full of shit to begin with. Those are the 3 questions you're trying to figure out. And it's been how many years? Not many, actually, because Demon of Fallen, the setting starts in 2000. The earliest you can run a Demon of Fallen Chronicle is in the year 2000. And that's it. So, by the time this book comes around, they've had 4 years to think about this, and they still haven't come to a conclusion yet. which goes to show that maybe the demons are not as smart as we think they are. But they're
kinda
getting to that
limited
point.
by the human brain. They can't have everything stored in there, otherwise their head would probably explode.
They're trying to work with what they can and figure this out. And they
It's
have
like-
all the... What?
It's kind of like they're trying to run Crisis 1 on a 1998 desktop computer. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But can it run Crisis? No, it can't.
No.
As for who the rivals are, the Raveners will take a wild guess as to why. The Reconcilers are too idealistic, and then the Faustians are just, micromanaging
Faustians.
dickheads trying to control everybody. Now, they do see there is a little bit of camaraderie with the Luciferians, but that's not going to last forever. They can get answers from Lucifer, but there's not going to be any sort of long-lasting relationship between the two. Where, you have the one demon that has his interview with them, and then once the interview is over, you no longer have a reason to work together. And who makes up their numbers? A lot of malefactors can be found amongst these guys. Because the malefactors are trying to figure out, why was I fired? That's the whole mission behind that entire group of demons.
Basically.
And
Well,
if
them and
God's
the
not going to
fiends, but,
return, if he's not going to return, they're trying to think, is there a system we can get running again that will sustain the world? And that's what the answer is. We have not gotten it yet. All right.
And they still
That's not-
don't know what the Wild, the Weaver, or the Worm is.
They still don't know, and they're thinking if they did find out, they'd probably try to find a way to usurp them and get around them. As for who their main leader is, now Armal's still alive, and he's the leader of this group, by the way. He's the guy. If you're such a smart guy, then why we fall in the first place, you dumbass? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next group, Luciferians. Kyle loves these guys.
Don't get me fucking started.
Where the whole objective of this group is find Lucifer. And then once you find him, the faction is over. That's just it. We find the golden boy, we put him back in a position of power, and then we do whatever he says.
Spoiler alert, jackass, he's dead.
No,
And
he's
it's... No, he's in Hunter the Reckoning.
Oh, spoiler
And-
alert, he gets clapped by a couple imbued.
He comes very close to death in that book. He gets a whole permanent wound where one of my favorite lines of World of Darkness comes out of it. God, do you hate me this strongly? Just the spare Lucifer's voice when he says that.
God,
You almost
Well,
feel bad
and
for the guy.
Alex's voicemail must be full
See,
of unread messages.
Here's the thing. If Lucifer wasn't just, a cock-headed jackass that wanted to destroy everything that made humanity worth living, then maybe I would feel bad for him. But then, now I'm like, wow, the imbued did a terrible job. You gotta put some fucking silvered buckshot in that bad boy and make sure he doesn't get the fuck back up.
And I think that basically just summarizes the faction. That's the easiest one to explain so far. It just took 3 sentences, and that was it. They're rivals. Do they hate the Raveners? Not really, actually. They're trying to tame the Raveners. They're trying to say, you're a rabid dog, and we have a cure for rabies. The minute we give it to you, we're going to turn you into a soldier, where in case heaven has anything to say about Lucifer coming back, you'll be on the front lines, and you'll definitely win this time. This time it will definitely work. And it's not like it ended in catastrophic failure last time.
Yes.
You go face the armies of heaven. We're gonna go hide behind this 12-inch thick wall of steel.
As for the Faustians, no, they will sometimes work with the Faustian if it's part of their goal of trying to find Lucifer. The minute that goal is not going to be achieved, they immediately turn to the Faustian, and then the relationship ends. And they see the Cryptics and Reconcilers as cowards who are wasting their time. We have a Lucifer to track down. We gotta track down where he is. Why are you wasting your time with this shit? And who makes up this house? The Devils. We're same thing with the Toreador, making up about 90% of Toreador are part of the Camarilla. 90% of Devils are part of the Luciferians. Just goes to show just how much the Devils will skin dance and walk around as
Well,
Lucifer.
I mean, you name a faction after yourself, there's going to be a lot of people trying to be the main guy in that faction.
And the guy that runs the group, it is a guy called Griffiel, where he is the #1 of the Lucifer fan club. He absolutely loves this guy, and he gets really, really mad if you suggest even for a minute that he was not a good guy.
I'm going to put a bullet in its forehead. How about that?
Yes. And I think he's a devourer. So, nope, odd selection for a leader.
Yeah, it's a terrible selection for a Luciferian. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well,
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's.
putting a
How
gay
low
criminal in
is his
charge.
torment score? He decides to be a Luciferian.
I'm gonna type in. I'm gonna make sure I'm right about that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, with a name like that, I imagine. Does he even have a page on the wiki? He is Rabisu.
What
He
the
is.
fuck?
Yeah. So, well, I guess if you're looking for a blind follower, I guess that's the easiest one to find.
He's in the body of a 15-year-old German drug addict.
He
Strange
is.
choice, but
Nice.
I don't think demons get a choice of what body they possess.
Or given that this guy has got the literal mind of a child, and that the Rabisu were not very smart to begin with, I think we know why he loves Lucifer so much. Kyle, he's a dent. I'm realizing this guy's an actual like WWE Jey Uso dent, is what he is.
None of these words are in the Bible. What does that mean?
These are not words God has created.
We gotta send Kyle footage of a Jey Uso match for him to
Well,
get the
no.
idea.
What the fuck is a dent?
A dent. You are the kind of fan that I can easily exploit for all of your money. You will buy all of my merchandise. You'll go to all my events. You will
Oh, a
spend
consumer.
You will spend $230 to see me in public and take one picture with me, and then you're gone.
Oh my god.
That kind of stuff.
You are not.
It's
You are not making me hate the Luciferians any less.
It's synonymous with the gaming term whale.
Yes. If I
That's
ever
what-
see a Luciferian, I'm going to kill him. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say you want to do for humanity. I'm going to kill you.
Speaking of kill, the Raveners.
Finally.
One word summary: kill. You just kill everything. And
Hey,
that's it.
Ryan.
And that's it.
Hey,
Where, as for why you're doing it, well, it varies between Ravener to Ravener, but the end goal is the same: it's just complete destruction of the world.
yeah,
And
there we
that's
go.
They hate Luciferians, they hate cryptics, they hate reconcilers, and they hate the Faustians. They get along with nobody. Nobody.
I changed my answer.
And that's it. And as for who leads this group, the guy that reads it is Sauriel, the releaser, where he is a slayer to the surprise of nobody who just wants to see everything die. And that's it, really.
Yeah.
So,
Simple as.
it's a little bit refreshing that we have a faction that's that easy to explain.
Yep, it's nice. It's like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're all going to get together, and then we're going to find somebody and just kill them. That's it?
And that's
Yeah.
it, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, Cal, how long does it take for me to explain to Tamahe Ra?
Honestly, didn't we spend like 2 hours talking about that?
And we still couldn't figure out what the fuck that faction was supposed to be about.
Yes. That was that during the Assamite video?
Ravagers.
And
Jesus Christ.
all right, and now the Reconcilers, where once again pretty easy to explain. Your demons trying to overcome your torment, and you're trying to become better people, and you're either trying to get back in good with God, or you're trying to be a better or you're trying to be a defender of humanity. You're trying to be like a demon superhero, so to speak.
Oh, look at that. You're doing the right thing. Good for you.
Where, Ryan, there was one anime that comes to mind that I immediately think of whenever I think of the Reconcilers.
Which one?
There it is, Devilman.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Where it is, it's on Netflix in case you have it. It is.
I do have Netflix.
There it is. Yeah, Kyle, what impressions do you get about the series based off that?
Off the what?
Off of what I just posted in studio notes.
Hang on, let me get back over there. What the fuck is that?
There it is. It's a Go Nagai story that was written back in the 60s and still is good today.
I don't know what. What?
It's a guy that gets possessed by a demon and becomes a demon superhero.
Okay, no, that sounds cool. I like that.
And the series the anime on Netflix is super violent and super sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, you have me
Just like an
violent, but
anime
I'm
from the
sold on
60s.
sexy.
Yes. And this is what I mentioned when it comes to Reconcilers, where you are guys that fight for humanity, not for yourselves. You're one of the only truly altruistic good forces in the world of darkness. There is no, oh, I'm doing this so people will love me. I'm doing this for attention. I'm doing this for my own gratification. I'm doing this for my own glory. No, you are truly a man of the people trying to be a good person. You're succeeding where the Slooby failed, is what you're doing. So, I'm actually my favorite faction in Demon Fallen.
That's odd because
And-
usually you hate good. You usually hate just good aligned characters.
Where, not like, I like a good line character if they were like nasty, disgusting, terrible people before they became good characters.
The
You know,
redemption arc is real.
Yeah, like, me and Sean were on a conversation about Final Fantasy one time, and we both really like Cecil in Final Fantasy IV, where he was the Dark Knight, the scourge of the Empire, before he began to realize what he was doing and redeemed himself. Where that kind of character arc, that's something I really do like. And it's also like, who am I thinking about? Kyle, I have told you about Helix in the past, but I don't think I've told you that much about it.
Hilux?
No, I don't think I have I?
I'm thinking of Toyota Hilux. What are we talking about?
Where, it's the claymation RPG. Where,
That's not the Scottish one, is it? I think that's something
no,
else.
no, I haven't told you about this.
That's Jado, I think.
Yeah, it's this guy who I'm referring to ultimately, Pungorma, where it's a trope in RPGs where I think it's really awesome when you have an RPG party member that used to be on the side of the main villain. That's just
Doesn't
something I
that
think is
happen
really
at the
cool.
end of Chrono Trigger?
Yes, with Magnus. And that's also one of my favorite characters in that game is Magnus. So these kind of characters are ones that I really do like. Also, kind of that character design. He's got a fish helmet and his entire body is covered in fur.
It is funny.
He's awesome.
How peculiar.
As for their leader, it is Nuriel. That's his name. Where he used to be a shitty person, but then after he escaped from hell, became a good person. Is his whole arc in a nutshell. And that's it, really. So, yeah, pretty easy to explain Demon of Fallen, actually, when it comes to these factions. Where we're not having to get into, like, super deep into, rules. Like, we don't have to go into a litany. We don't have to go into the rules of the Sabbat. We don't have to do anything like that. Speaking of which, there's a Sabbat episode coming soon in August.
Cool.
We just have to get to it first.
Yeah.
And, Ryan,
Yes.
I've got a chance to look at the lores.
No.
All right. Let's pick 3 random lores to go through them. All right. So, Kyle, Ryan, you were thinking about the Slayers, weren't you?
Yes.
You want to go over some Slayer powers?
Sure. What pages are we on?
All right. See, and all those pages I sent you, I cut out some of the stuff in the screenshots I sent. Look for the bird icon on the DMs I sent you.
Yes, indeed. I've got one of them up, and I'm going to chuck them up there so we can take a look.
Icon.
So do you want to go over, I'll let you pick, Ryan. Do you want to go over the lore of death, the lore of realms, or the lore of spirit? Which one do you think?
This is the Ravno, right?
The Slayers.
The Slayers.
The
The Reconciler.
See, it's towards like the last pictures I sent over.
Yeah, it is like the last block that he sent us.
Oh, the last. Okay.
Yeah. I sent
There we go.
I sent many images over. All right,
fuck.
Just a bit, just a little bit.
What you think?
I will do
What?
the dead because that's the one that's right there. The Lore of Death.
Lore of Death. Let's go over what's in the Lore of Death, everybody.
Yeah. So at 1 pip, you get Read Fate.
Where it should be
Open
easy enough to
link.
explain, right?
Yes. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
It wouldn't open. It gave me a
Yeah.
very small square.
There
All
it
right.
is. All right. It's illuminating that.
Lore of Death. Read Fate. This evocation allows the demon to look into the eyes of a dead body and see the manner in which he or she died. So essentially, you roll perception and awareness, and the number of successes achieved determines the amount of detail your character can determine about the mortal's fate. I really like reading these mechanics.
He's the mechanics guy. Ryan has a knack for cracking games in a matter of seconds.
I like how easy it is to read and how. Sorry, I can't explain it. Anyway, one success provides a picture of the moment of death. Each additional success goes further back in time, from a minute at 2 successes, or hours at 3, maybe days at 4. It can also provide a broader context for the circumstance behind the person's passing.
Now you have the Torment version, where
Yeah.
now here's a good time to bring it up. Ryan, do you remember the humanity score in Vampire?
Yes.
In Demon the Fallen, you have a torment score, where depending on how evil you are, will raise your torment as you start bringing hell with you into the material plane. If that score becomes too high, your powers change and become an evil version called the torment version.
Interesting.
Now, what does the torment version do?
Monstrous demons are able to discern a subject's fate only if the person died as a result of violence, whether accidental or intentional.
So the power becomes a hell of a lot worse if you're evil.
Yeah.
It's significantly worse. All right, now we start getting overpowered.
We go into pip number 2. One of the Reaper's primary powers is decay. This evocation accelerates the process of decay, reducing living and non-living matter to its component particles. Your Slayer must be able to touch his intended target to perform this evocation. You roll stamina and medicine. Each success inflicts one health level of aggravated damage and lethal damage to a mortal. If performed on a dead body, each success removes a point from the body's stamina. On one. When all adults have been eliminated, the body is reduced to dust. This process works in similar fashion on inanimate objects, but the difficulty varies depending on the object's composition. Decaying an article of wood or cloth, for example, is difficulty 7, while decaying a piece of plastic is difficulty 8, and almost anything metal is 9, stone is 10.
Mm-hmm.
Each success decays 1 cubic foot of material.
Now,
but can it dissolve a Twinkie?
It can.
Yes.
No,
And-
you cannot do that on a Twinkie.
Yes.
That's actually difficulty 11.
Now for the evil version.
Monstrous demons affect people and objects in an area as opposed to single target. Oh, it's AoE.
Yeah.
It is.
Everything within a radius of yards equal to the character's faith score is affected. Jesus.
Now,
Yeah.
now, Kyle, what does this look like in the context of Demon the Fallen? Because you remember that the Cappadocians also have this power?
Yeah, I think they do, don't they?
There's a certain manga that your sister likes. Posted in studio notes.
Hang on.
That
I'm on the
That-
wrong page.
My
I was
Hero
putting on this.
Academia.
yeah.
Oh yeah, fucking
This
what's his name with the face palm constantly
Chigurh.
attached?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a guy.
That's the level of destruction we're talking about with this power.
Yeah.
Now
I was
keep in
also
mind.
thinking Paladin.
Keep in
Or
mind. With character creation Demon of Fallen, where once again, with same like Vampire Disciplines, you have 3 pips you can point between 3 different powers at creation. You can do this at character creation.
Well,
Yes. So if you want to know how astronomically powerful demons are in comparison to everyone else,
that's quite a bit, I'd say.
the power gap between the two. You notice that every White Wolf game that was made, we have powerful vampires, and then they got supplanted by werewolves, and then they got supplanted by mages, and then they got supplanted by changelings, and now there's demons at the very top of the totem pole. Behold.
As far as the oh shit o meter totem pole, demons are probably at the very tippy top of that.
Yeah, if you fight against a demon, you lose. You just lose. Right. Level 3, what's up next?
What is up next is I've lost it.
The Vision of Mortality. Check
did it
out what
go?
this does. Alright.
That one's okay. Oh, right there.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
right there.
I put it in the wrong spot. Vision of Mortality. This evocation saw frequent use in the War of the Wrath, permitting slayers to fill the minds of their foes with visions of impending death. Even battle-hardened angels found their mettle sorely tested by these bone-chilling sights, throwing down their arms and fleeing before the Halaku.
Yeah, the Halaku.
Remorseless advance. So the system is you roll manipulation and intuition, and the target resists the evocation with a willpower roll, using the Slayer's Faith as the difficulty. If you succeed, the target abandons their action and flees from your presence. If the target's but
Cause fear on a mass scale.
yeah. I was gonna say also
The
it's,
other spell.
it's blanking on me. Yeah, it's the one that shows horrific visions.
Phantasmal Killer.
No, Phantasmal Force.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah. If target's willpower. If the
Where
target's
was it?
willpower.
Oh, okay, there. If the target's willpower botches, they flee and suffer a temporary derangement.
Ooh.
This evocation can target individuals up to a number of yards away, equal to your character's faith rating. A target who wins the resisted roll cannot be subjected to this evocation again for the remainder of the scene. I don't know why I had trouble with that fucking word.
It happens to me sometimes.
The monstrous version of this affects every living being around them, as opposed to a specific target. Again, AoE. The demon affects targets within a number of yards equal to their faith score, and the resisted willpower rolls are made for each potential victim.
Now remember, these guys make up most of the Ravener's ranks. You can imagine just how dangerous it is to fight one of these.
I really want to make another villain.
Now for rank 4. Now we get broken. If we weren't broken already, now we get broken.
Yeah,
it gets worse.
Especially with a thing called Extinguish Life. The Reaper's touch means death. By placing a hand on a living body and exerting their will, a demon can sever a victim's soul from their body, killing them instantly. This capability can be used on the Fallen as well, but rather than cause instant death, the evocation produces an icy chill that saps the vitality from the demon's body. That sounds sick as fuck.
It is the one-hit kill option.
Yeah, literally.
They literally have power word kill.
And that's it.
Oh my god.
Where in a boss fight against a Halaku, if the Halaku touches you, you lose. Make a new character.
Pretty much, but when they just walk up right up to you, shit, I lost it.
And there it is. You got an epic gift prepared for us?
Yeah, it's basically like
Minecraft. What the fuck are you posting in there, Victor?
All the
Get outta
demon-related
here with
enemies.
That is, and then as Now you do have to spend faith and roll strength and awareness for this,
Yeah.
and you have to make more successes than your target stamina. But if your successes eat the target stamina score and successes, you kill him instantly. Behold.
Yeah.
And that's it, really.
And
And
the
then-
monstrous version, you don't even need to touch them. You just fucking look at them.
So, good luck fighting one in a boss fight.
Yeah, again, it's the monstrous version is AoE, and it's like anyone within the number of yards equal to your faith score again.
And
Walk into a
now,
room, everyone dies.
Yeah.
and now for the one where if somebody has this as a discipline, as a lore, it's now time to end the campaign. Rank 5.
Basically.
Unlife. This powerful evocation allows a living body to function without the presence of a soul or a vital spirit, creating an unliving creature completely under the Slayer's control. You must spend a faith point and roll stamina medicine. A walking dead creature has only 1 point in each of its physical attributions upon creation, though each extra success can be used to add additional points into any physical attributes at your discretion. These creatures do not suffer wound penalties in combat. What?
Yeah, you notice that. You
Using
notice.
their full dice pools at all times. What the fuck?
And you notice that it's powered off of 1 faith. Every time a follower sees you do this, you get a faith point back.
Jesus Christ.
They must suffer no less than 10 health levels of damage before being destroyed. That's got to be at once.
Yes.
No. That
It's a,
so
it's
my
it's
brain's
the same
thinking.
level of health as a wraith.
Yeah. Undead minions are mindless automatons acting solely according to your demon's will. Each time your character wants one of their minions to perform an action, make a willpower roll, difficulty 7. If your character controls more than one creature at a time, you must divide your willpower pool among them per turn. A failed roll causes a zombie to continue the last action it was commanded to perform.
Along with it, Ryan, you see with the rest of that, you can also use this the same way as reprogramming with Dominate
Yeah.
as a discipline, where you tell a corpse to do something, and it will fulfill that command to a T before it needs new set of instructions.
Yeah. Alternatively, go ahead.
What?
That's my bad.
Yeah, I was going to say like that's basically the next 3 paragraphs summarizes what I just said.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now read the evil version of it.
Monstrous demons cannot prevent their torment from infusing creations. With an unnatural craving for violence, raising flesh-eating monsters that must be held in check constantly, or they attack any living thing that they can reach, including the Slayer themselves. If not programmed with a rote set of instructions, these creatures go into a violent frenzy unless their creator makes a successful willpower roll, difficulty 8, each turn. This willpower roll, in addition to any to impose commandments from action to action,
Yeah.
is in addition to any. Okay.
You start a zombie apocalypse is what you do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You start 28 days later is what you do.
Sounds interesting.
The rage house. So you can see that if one Halaku really wanted to, they could just end the world with his power.
Oh yeah.
That you start the zombie virus, and if you were to team up with the Zamichi, for this power,
Oh, God,
you
that'd
guys
be
are awesome.
terrifying.
Come here, give me a hug. Let's go start some war together.
and then along with it, you also get several different passive powers by just taking a point in this, where this will affect your apocalypse form, where like to explain that mechanic. You can do like a Henshin transformation into apocalypse form, where you get rid of your human body and enter this full demon appearance. What you get if you take death, you get black wings, you get an improved initiative score where you add 2 points to it. You can pass without trace like the D&D spell. You have no reflection in mirrors. you're able to cover yourself and hide yourself in shadows like Obteneration. You can also extend that Obteneration to grab somebody with a shadow hand, and then just stuff will just die around you passively, but just you standing next to it is what I can also do.
Yeah. Though those last 3 are mostly for the torment form. If you have more than 5, I believe. So high torment, you get a couple extra bits to use, which means it's not exactly a negative thing to have.
And along with it, damage resistance. As in, your character jumps off the top of the Empire State Building, hits the ground, and then gets up with no broken bones. That's how hard it is to kill one of these things.
Absolutely.
So, Kyle, you ready for the boss fight?
Yeah, we got quite a few of them.
Now, Kyle, you led the Lamasu. Shall we go over one of theirs?
I believe it might be appropriate, yeah.
Do you want to go over the lore of logging, the lore of storms, or the lore of transfiguration?
Well, let me hunt down one. Give me a half a second here.
Yeah, you want me to read these off?
I gotta find out where the fuck they are.
Because I still got some gas in me.
Yeah, it's lore of the what now?
If you're in the PDF, it's in page 198.
I'm not of the PDF. I just have shit that Johnny throw at me.
Look for the pair of handcuffs. That's how you identify where it starts.
Yeah.
I found Lord of Storms. Oh, here it is.
Let's go over to storms because this is stupid. This is stupid what this does.
Lord of Weather, the beast at peace. Okay, so I gotta get some head of tissue.
Summon water.
Yes. Create or destroy water from D&D 5e. The demon can summon water from any nearby source, causing anything from sudden congealing fog to torrential flash flood. System. Roll stamina and survival. The number of successes required depends on the amount of water the defiler wishes to summon. If the demon wants to call up a thick fog, increasing the difficulty of all perception rolls by 2, 1 success is sufficient. If they want to douse the area with a sudden shower, 2 successes are required. If she wants a torrent of water, 3 successes. A raging flood demands 4 or more successes. All individuals caught in such a torrent or flood suffer the effects of drowning. See page 263. Unless a success of dexterity and athletics at difficulty 8 is made. There has to be a water source of some kind within faith in yards, no matter how small, for this evocation to work. So if you have 4 faith, it needs to be within 4 yards of you. The effects of this evocation continue for a number of turns equal to the character's faith score. Added torment. The water that a monstrous demon summons is slimy and foul, spreading sickness and disease. Victims exposed to this polluted water risk developing deadly diseases that manifest within days or weeks. Mortals and demons exposed to this tainted water for more than 1 turn risk becoming infected unless a stamina roll is made with difficulty equal to the Defiler's Torment. Also, use the Defiler's Torment to gauge the relative virulence of any diseases. A Torment score of 7 inflicts a minor disease that might lower the character's dice pools, while a Torment of 10 imposes lethal and possibly highly contagious disease that inflicts lethal damage. So, you can literally cause a plague if you're a tormented defiler.
You spat the water from India in the man's face.
Basically, yes.
1.
You become the Ganges River.
Yes. You spit on a man and behold, you create an entire plague that ends the world.
Yep, good job, dumbass.
It's that easy.
Yep.
It's good for me and you, and it's quite vindaloo.
Oh, god damn it.
I don't care, I'm white, I'm going to hell regardless.
Oh my god, this episode's terrible. Anyway.
Water form.
Yes. Become a waterbender. This evocation allows the defiler to transform her physical body into water, either as a liquid or a mist.
Now keep in mind, that's a level 5 vicissitude power.
Yeah. So
level
this
2.
Is level 2 for a demon. System. Roll stamina and medicine. Once transformed, the character leaves their clothes and possessions behind. They can travel anywhere water or air can catch. Goodness. She can travel anywhere water or air can reach while. Oh, goodness. Anywhere they can reach while in water or mist form, and she is immune to any damage. The Defiler can remain in this form for a number of turns equal to the faith score. Torment. The water form of a monstrous demon is polluted by its torment, and contact with it causes chemical burns. For each turn that a victim is exposed to the Defiler's body, she suffers 1 health level of lethal damage. So you can literally just, Zyklon somebody with a tormented water form.
On top of that, Kyle, at certain levels of changing to dreaming, if you have points in Fey and Primal, you can reach a sheer level of bullshit where you can just become invincible.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Like this.
Yeah,
as long as you have faith, where it's up to like 10 turns where just nothing can hurt you, and then you can just cast this immediately afterwards if a follower sees you do it.
The only way to make this game feasible is make faith incredibly hard to get.
No, you make everyone else just as overpowered.
Pretty much.
See, I tried that and it doesn't work.
Yes.
Don't nerf everyone else. Empower them so that you give the overpeak something to fight.
And it says it means
All I gotta do is start using demons in the game.
Yeah, you and also the Holocu's Touch of Death can still affect this.
Oh, so they could hey, misty water, woof, dead instantly.
Just stick your hand into water and it's over.
That's terrifying.
Or you could just use it as a means of quick escape,
If you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
kill this Alistair. Well, he lifted all his clothes and I killed him, but it looks like he pissed himself before I killed him.
Jesus Christ. Anyhow,
Kyle, this is a rank 4 10 gift. It's a rank 4 10 right.
What?
And it's available at level 3.
Well,
yes.
it's also a level 5 Black Fury's gift. Manipulate weather. This evocation allows the Defiler to nudge existing weather patterns, pushing away storm fronts or drawing them to her with surprising speed, and altering the local temperatures. System. Roll intelligence and science. The number of successes achieved determines the severity of the weather pattern that the Defiler can manipulate. Affecting a minor rainstorm requires only 1 success, while affecting a thunderstorm requires 2. Major storms require 3 successes to manipulate, and truly powerful phenomena such as tornadoes or hurricanes require 4 or more. Alternatively, the Defiler can raise or lower the temperature in her area by a degree per success rolled. This evocation affects an area within a radius in miles equal to a demon's faith score. Note that all weather manipulated must be present. This power cannot spontaneously create new weather effects, so it happens over time. Torment. Monstrous demons increase the intensity of local weather patterns rather than alter their course, turning a spring shower into a raging tornado or a light snowfall into a blizzard. Not a whole lot that Torment does for you, but even still, this is busted.
It is.
Especially if your game takes place in Seattle.
Exactly. Well, speaking of which, next picture.
Next picture.
Oh no, it's Seattle.
Let's see.
Oh shit, I did not notice that actually.
It's that easy. It's that easy to ruin everyone's day in Demon of Fallen.
Yep. Just go to Seattle. Easy.
Yep. Level 4, Command the Storm.
Yes. So, Command the Storm. A Defiler can use this evocation to create weather patterns at will, conjuring a storm out of thin air or banishing a hurricane with a wave of the hand. I drive a demons! Anyway.
Behold, open your heart starts playing in the background.
Yeah. System. Spend 1 faith and roll intelligence and science. The difficulty is determined by the environment and the type of weather the Defiler wishes to create. Calling up a thunderstorm near the ocean is difficulty 6. Creating one in the middle of the Arizona desert is difficulty 9. Banishing weather patterns is resolved with difficulty of 7. The number of successes rolled determines the intensity of the weather pattern that the Defiler can create or calm. A rain shower or a light snowfall requires only 1 success, while a tornado or a massive hurricane requires 4 or more. This evocation affects an area with a radius in miles equal to the demon's faith score. Once summoned, the weather effects can run its natural course unless affected by additional evocations. Torment. Monstrous demons can command the weather with equal ease, but their effects are always inimical. Storms bringing damaging wind, hail, and lightning. Even creating clear skies can evoke extreme temperature changes or suffocating humidity. Again, making things worse.
Yes.
And then finally, you have Invoke the Storm at level 5. The Defiler can surround herself with a raging storm at will, creating wind, water, and lightning in an area as small as a room or as large as a city block. The heart of the storm is centered on the demon, and it moves as they move. It causes her no harm, though. System. Spend 1 faith point, roll stamina and survival. The difficulty is determined by the environment the Defiler is in. Conjuring a storm outside with rain clouds overhead is difficulty 6. Conjuring a storm in the air-conditioned environment of an office is difficulty 9. The successes form a dice pool that you will roll with. Goodness gracious, this is a really weirdly worded book.
It's a fun sentence, right?
The successes form a dice pool that you roll while your character directs the effects of the storm. If she wishes to use wind to knock someone down or blow open doors and windows, roll this dice pool in lieu of strength. If she wants to fire lightning at a target, roll the pool against difficulty of 9. Each success generates 1 lightning bolt that strikes a target automatically and imposes a number of lethal damage equal to the Defiler's Torment score. The storm affects an area with a radius of yards equal to the character's faith score and lasts for an equal number of turns unless banished. Torment. Monstrous Defilers raise storms that lash out indiscriminately at any living being caught in the area, punishing them with fierce winds and lightning. Each turn, roll a single die at difficulty 9 for each person within the storm's radius. If a roll is successful, someone is struck with a bolt of lightning. Furthermore, the buffeting winds increase the difficulties of all subjects' actions by 2. That's just fucking mean.
So Kyle, you can imagine what you can do with this if you get really creative?
Yes. You become Lord of Weather. This is insane. You're literally I don't want that city there anymore. It goes away.
You become Storm.
I'm thinking of Storyteller, you know what I'm talking about, Heavy Weather from JoJo.
Yes, I actually do remember. Wait, do you mean Weather Report from episode 6?
Oh, that when he goes full mask off and shows off what he can really do.
Yeah.
And
weird.
Kyle, part of that battle includes him summoning rainbows, where if you stare into the rainbow, you begin to believe that you're turning into a snail, resulting in your body mutating into the form of a snail, that then summons antlions that then eat your snail body.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
And it affects an entire city in Florida.
I hate anime.
Or alternatively, you manipulate the oxygen level in the air around you, turning the air around you into 100% oxygen, which is toxic to the human body, causing the eyes of your enemies to literally explode in blood.
See, that sounds more believable.
It's
That's JoJo, baby.
A lot of crazy shit can be done with this power if you get creative enough with it.
Yes.
So you can see just how unstoppable demons are at certain levels.
They're pretty fucking crazy.
And now I will finish this off with one more. Oh, by the way, the passive powers you get with this power. Weather Sense, you become immune to electricity, where you can just touch a power line and just be fine. You add 2 dots to your initiative. You just electrify people by touching. You essentially have the spell Sharking Grasp from D&D, and it's active all the time. You have Demon Fangs that deal strength plus 2 damage. Spines that mark across your arms and back like a blowfish. Shark Skin Hide, meaning that knives and other weapons cannot pierce your skin, and you can blow an ink cloud out of your mouth into the eyes of your enemies. You become as fish.
Yes. You're Aquaman the Demon.
And
I think the Roquet would like to have a word with these things.
And me liking the Devourers, I'm going to go over one of theirs. Did you think I was going to go over the Lore of Flesh? Well, that's too easy. That's too simple. You can imagine what that does. Instead, I'm going to go over the Path Less Traveled. Let's go over the Lore of the Wild to end this episode.
All right.
As first one, Wilderness Sense. The Devourer gains an immediate sense of the surrounding area, building a map in her mind of the region's natural features, the plants, the animals, and the inhabitants of the place, as well as the location of any interlopers of the local fauna considered a threat. Well, perception and survival. Demons in the area can attempt to avoid detection through a resisted willpower roll, difficulty 7. If your roll succeeds, your character gets a detailed mental map of her surroundings, to which she can refer to as needed, along with the approximate location of every nearby animal and person. Although this evocation works best in the wilderness areas, it can also be used in urban settings at a difficulty of 8. Your Devourer can gain insight into a given area within a radius of miles equal to her faith score. The effect of this evocation lasts for a duration equal to the scene. Torment. Monstrous demons who perform this evocation transmit their murderous nature to the surrounding area, causing flora and fauna to act violently towards human trespassers. Any animal in the area reacts aggressively to trespassers, attacking them if able. Athletics or survival rules must be made for intruders to avoid harm or to escape attack, using the Devourer's torment score as the difficulty. So, behold, an easy enough utility power back, Kyle, but with the torment version. Behold, now the events of Cujo will happen in your own backyard.
No, get that shit out of here.
There it is.
I don't want a
Behold,
pitbull
Mr.
named
Pibbles all of a
Princess.
sudden loses his shit and attacks you. Great, right?
Yeah.
Along with it, level 2, Quicken Growth. The Devourer can fuel rapid and unchecked growth in local plant life. Trees shoot skywards, vines swell, fissures spread through any object which there are roots in, and briars envelop the surroundings. Roll stamina plus survival. The Devourer focuses on a specific plant to cause any increase to its size by any number of cubic yards equal to success you rolled, all within the space of a single turn. Vines or roots inflict light numbers of damage points to physical structures with which they are in contact. Objects caught within the growth radius are swallowed up, the plant remains overgrown and causes damage for a number of turns equal to successes you rolled. The Monsters version. Monstrous demons can cause a plant to grow and entwine living beings within reach, strangling or ripping them apart. For every living being within a plant's growth area, roll a number of dice equal to your Devourer's willpower. Treat this as a grapple attempt, which victims can attempt to parry or dodge as normal. If the attack is successful, roll a number of damage dice equal to Devourer's Torment. Each success inflicts a level of lethal damage.
You just become Poison Ivy at that point.
Well, I was thinking of another character. You know Yu Yu Hakusho Kurama?
I've not
No.
watched Yu Yu Hakusho since it aired on
No.
Toonami.
Where this is kind of stuff that Kurama's doing.
Oh wait, you mean the guy with the pinkish
The
red
red hair.
hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, him. Where he says, "Behold, I have a seed for a plant in my pocket for every occasion." It doesn't matter what the occasion is, I just have a plant ready for it.
Yeah.
And then Kylie's got the man-eating pussy plant in the background. Where
Pardon.
it looks like a pussy. You can't tell me it looks like anything else.
Hang on, what the fuck are you? What?
Looks like a plant to me.
There it is. There it is.
Johnny, what does your search history look like?
There it is. There it is. Yeah, it looks like this.
Oh,
No, please, God,
dear
no.
God.
Yeah, that.
I'm not putting that on the screen.
There it is. Because it's
I
anime,
know.
right?
Yeah.
This is 90s anime.
It's, there it is. And that's just the surface of this power. Getting to level 3, Command the Wild. The Devourer can direct the rapid growth of any local plants by force of will, affecting the environment in specific ways according to the demon's plan. Roll in intelligence and survival. Your character can affect a number of plants equal to her faith score. Each plant grows a number of cubic yards equal to the successes rolled and expands in the direction and configurations specified by your character. If the plant growth is directed at a specific structure, take the number of successes rolled and compare them to the feats and strengths chart on page 232. You're not going to do that. Torment. In addition to directing the growth, monstrous demons can cause affected plants to become inimical to flesh and blood, spawning needle-like thorns and poisonous sap. The exact manifestation is determined by storytellers, but successful dexterity plus athletics rolls must be made for anyone attempting to move around the area, unless you suffer a number of dice that will deal lethal damage equal to your demon's torment score. So, Kyle, how much of a bitch is the spell plant growth, or no, well, plant growth too, but spike growth in D&D?
It's pretty rough, I will say.
So you created one that doesn't just affect an x-axis, but a y and z-axis as well. That's the
So-
entire area that is no longer
Yeah.
negotiable.
That's
Jesus.
gonna be a bitch to get through.
And on top of that, Kyle,
Not to mention,
well, yeah,
you go. This is doing lethal damage,
on
not
top of that-
bludgeoning. These are some hardcore fucking spines and poisons.
And even after you pull away from it, your skin is still tainted by that poison.
Yeah. It has got to be the worst sensation of itching anyone has ever felt.
So, Kyle, how many plants in
Permanent poison.
Australia are just toxic as shit?
Most of it.
Most of them. We're just you have stories of people that touched the wrong piece of ivy, you touched a leaf, and now you're in pain that makes you want to die for 7 days.
And they thought, yeah, it's looks like the wrong place to set it.
And now we get into the crazy shit. If we weren't there already. Level 4, Possess Plant. The demon can take over the living existence of more than one plant, making them an extension of the will. The plants move with supernatural speed and strength, performing any action the devourer wishes. Spend 1 faith point and roll stamina and survival. The devourer control any number of plants equal to the successes rolled. Plants affected by the evocation must remain rooted in place, but they can perform any other action within limits of their physical or size or composition. A rosebud can entangle a victim, or ivy can pull apart a wall that's anchored to. The effect of the evocation can last for a duration of the scene. Consider the plants to have a strength score equal to your demon's willpower, and refer to feats of strength chart to determine the damage the plants can do to an item. The same number of dice used to make an attack action or damage rolls with the plant attack living targets do bashing damage instead. But Kyle, how many turns are you taking with this?
That's an excellent question.
For every one plant you have, that's an action you have.
Fucking what?
Yes.
So you're
So if
basically
you-
playing as like circle of the herd.
Circle of the
that's
Shepherd
it.
Druid.
Yeah, that's it.
But imagine just like any plant you can control, it's all of a sudden it's now prehensile and you can do whatever you want with it.
Jesus, that would be a bitch in initiative.
Kyle, what's your favorite scene from Evil Dead?
Which Evil Dead?
The first one?
I honestly don't have the first one. I have the second one.
The tree scene and that's what you can do with this?
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
yeah, that's freaky.
impressive.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is Demon the Fallen, not exactly a Noble Bright kind of game.
Yeah.
Groovy.
And along with all this kind of shit you can do. By the way, these plants, you can't just set these on fire. This is like the Amazon rainforest where the plants are so green, they don't catch.
So it's not
That's
like with the
probably
napalm launcher in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. You gotta go and you gotta napalm it and try Agent Orange it, so it's whether or not the devourer can kill you before you kill the plants. And
Just eat
now
the
we get
plants. Simple.
And now we get into the scary power. Facing my phobia with this one. Level 5, Mutate Plant. The Devourer can mutate a plant's composition and form at will, creating new specialized breeds according to their desire. Spend 1 faith point and roll intelligence plus survival. Your character can alter or add a new plant characteristic per success rolled. Alterations include metabolism, thick bark, tough skin, and thorns. These successes can be generated as part of an extended roll over a period of days, as the demon tinkers with her creation. These effects of the evocation persist for a number of days equal to your character's faith score, or they can be made permanent by expending 1 temporary willpower point. Now
That's
the evil version.
incredibly cheap.
Monsters demons can use this evocation to make plant life with a taste for blood. Make a willpower roll equal to the difficulty of your character's torment. If the roll fails, the plant's metabolism mutates spontaneously, developing natural weapons that allow it to kill and feed on the living beings, including the demon that creates it. The plant's attack and damage dice pulls are equal to your character's torment, and the damage is lethal.
Well,
So behold.
I am biting my tongue to resist the urge to sing the song.
Well, I'm going to do it. Feed me, Seymour.
God damn it.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of, say, Vault 22 and the pants-shitting terror of Vault 22.
Oh, see, I was just going to sing him a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad.
Now,
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. The second we saw the 4.1, it's like, I'm going to do it.
and on top of that power too, Kyle, you could make the events of Vault 22 a thing. Say you use this power, you mutate a plant, you now have the cordyceps, but it's airborne.
That's terrifying.
Behold, this is how the world ends, is you turn everybody into your as you create a new strain of fungal ivy that flies into the brain of anyone that breathes it in, and now they're your bitch.
So now you have The Last of Us as your apocalypse scenario.
Yeah. And then you can just keep mutating the plant on top of that.
Yeah, that's fucking horrifying.
So anytime anyone tries to find a way to beat the plant, you can just add a new thing it can do. So you're now up against a constantly evolving organism that will eventually snowball and get to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
This is when you get the Void Engineers to leave the fucking planet.
Exactly. You create the death world of Kanachan with this power.
No, this is where you get the progenitors to come in and stop, create like an anti-vaccine for this sort of thing.
And along with this power, what do you get? You get enhanced senses, chameleon skin, pass without trace, 3 extra levels of health, Kyle.
Fuck that.
And that's not the Torment version either.
With Torment, thorns will grow across your arms, your fingers, and in your hair. Your size will increase, giving you 1 strength, 2 dexterity, and 1 stamina. And you will grow extra limbs that are plant-based. And along with it, your spit and your touch is now venomous.
So you actually become Poison Ivy.
Yes. Except you... except like it's like that like Batman and Robin like Bane version of Poison like Bane in that movie. It was like Plant Bane, I think is what they were doing. So yeah, that.
Roid Rage.
So yeah, that's Demon of Fallen. Are you excited to play Demon of Fallen Chronicle now?
What?
You excited to play Demon of Fallen now?
I don't know how the fuck we're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
I'd give it a go.
I've been thinking of, and I've been thinking about a Demon of Fallen campaign. We ain't gonna run it today. We ain't gonna run it tomorrow. We ain't gonna run it for a while. I gotta get Mage 1936 done and then DC 20 done. But it might be a DTF Chronicle around the corner.
Okay, sounds fun. I'll play as Fred Durst.
Yeah. And Ryan, what do you think of this game? He's not dead, is he? I think he's dead.
Bro dead.
Oh no.
I think he's
The
dead.
demons got him.
He's dead.
He did.
He's dead. He's out of gas. He's dead.
He invoked the name of the Slayer and they killed him.
Well, now that Ryan is face down on his keyboard, I think that's time to end the episode.
Yeah, I'm
Indeed.
pretty tired.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
Demon's
Demon
cool.
of Fallen. It's a rough game. It does not really work with the rest of World of Darkness, but in isolation, it's a great time.
Yes, I think we'll have fun with it.
Oh, by the way, now I'm going to mention this at the end of the episode. Kyle, what happens if you kill a demon?
That's a spectacular question.
Now, what happens is that death is cheap in Demon of Fallen, because if you die, that demon soul just moves to another host. And that's it. You just find another body to take control over.
That sounds right.
Specifically, some of your cultists.
Yeah. So how do you kill a demon? You can't. They just find another body immediately.
You can...
And even when they don't, they go back to the abyss where they spend time brooding.
And they can start all over again.
Like, you can temporarily delay a demon, but it is still a fallen angel.
And Kyle, there's actually a movie that if there was a Demon of Fallen movie, it's this.
Hang on.
I'll post in studio notes.
Right.
Where this came out before Demon of Fallen, but it almost follows the rules of Demon of Fallen to a T.
Oh,
it's perfect.
I've never heard of this.
It's a movie about demonic possession.
Oh, how about that?
And it's a song that's going to forever change the way you listen to Time Is On My Side by the Rolling Stones.
Oh. In this case, it is.
So with this, it actually is a really good movie, but it's cheap. It's a B movie. It did not get its money back.
At least tried.
And they released it in January.
Ooh, that's practically a death sentence for any movie.
There it is. Like, oh, we released this movie in January. It's a financial failure. Tax write-off. Congratulations to ourselves.
Hey, good job. You did what you could.
There it is. But yeah, this is almost... If you want reference titles to run a Demon of Fallen campaign as just one character, this is perfect. That movie's perfect. All right. And now we can end the episode.
Yep. Demons are cool. Play demon.
All right.
Never trust them, though.
Everyone.
Yep.
We
Good night.
we have an episode about other World Darkness YouTubers next week.
Awesome.
All right.
You want to start a fight, Kyle? Because I do.
You go ahead. I'm gonna sit in my apartment and have another beer.
I think I'm gonna.
There he is. He lives.
He is alive.
He lives.
But we're about to go to
All right.
bed anyway. So good night, everybody.
I cut the cord. Be an episode here, GM.
Have a good night.